morning, traders out there. Welcome to it. We're ready for another week here. Of course, we're looking at what's going on in the market, and it got a nice flip on Friday, of course, with the tariff mentions, with, of course, the jobs report coming in and shaking up the market. Now we need to take a look. Are we going to bounce back? Is it going to be that easy? All things to be talked about. Let's get right to the show. We're going to go ahead and kick the intro off, and then when Michael comes on, we'll just keep going into the show because there might be some trading to start it off. Let's go right to the intro. See what we got today. We'll get to the playbook, the sunrise report. Keep it going right here on, of course, Trade the Pool.
Google wants 200, baby.
You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money. It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at.
What's going on, traders? How we doing? Let's get things started. Let's take a look here as, of course, we get to the market. We'll take a look at what's going on in the action right now, and we'll take a look to see if I get into some trades here in the pre-market. Nothing on in the accounts right now. We'll be taking a look to see what we can find, of course, and what we can come up with, man. It's going to be an interesting day for sure. There is one thing I need to fix here. I can already see. You need to kind of get it going here. Let me just fix that up here. All right. Well, if those don't work right now, the bottom chat comments, I'll get them going in a second here. We'll get things fixed up there. I'm just trying to keep things going. New platform, so I might have a little bit of some hiccups, but we'll work through the hiccups like always. Looking to the market this morning, we're at 625.60s. Can we keep things going? All things to be talked about right now. Looking good here. We'll be watching to see what happens. Can we get to the next level? Well, just got to keep watching and seeing what the next move is going to be. We did get a bounce back from, of course, the washout that happened on Friday. Now, the question is, are we bouncing back that quickly? All things to be thought about. We'll talk about that, and we'll take a look at some other action in the market today. But definitely smash it up, guys. We got a lot more for you guys right here, looking to see what we can come up with. There's going to be a lot of trade ideas that we'll come up with, and we're going to be making some adjustments. So stick around, guys. Some new things coming to you guys soon. All right, guys, we can keep it going. Let's get into the sunrise and the playbook. First things up on the playbook, let's just go looking through my watch list, guys. I can go through the playbook that I had specifically, but I think today is one of those days where we just got to look at the daily charts, kind of just zoom things back and keep things in perspective, right? If we look here a little bit closer to the SPY overall, right? Just starting with the overall market, we're going to delete some lines here, right? We're going to try to redraw out some stuff, right? Because I think that this is important sometimes, right? And sometimes you just got to clean up the charts and start over. Another thing you can do is just use a different board, right? I have like different scratch boards that I can kind of adjust there. And so now I kind of see us kind of playing in here, right? You know, where could the pullback be? The pullback could be back down towards the 614s, and we definitely are in a little bit of a correction mode, a quick 3%, but how far are we going to go back? Are we going back 10%? Are we going back, 5%? All things to be asked about. We really quickly went towards the bottom end of the Bollinger Band. Now the Bollinger Band kind of tightening down, and I think that that's one thing that we need to be thinking about, right? Remember, we just recently had an expansion. Now it's a little bit of a tightening. All things to be thought about, and of course, the RSI did turn around last week as we were in kind of the overbought conditions there, but it didn't really get to the levels that I thought. So this just gives an opportunity now to see if we can bounce back. We'll be watching to see what happens here, but let's get to some of these stocks on this watch list. Let's talk about some of these names. APLD, definitely one of the names that I've been watching for a long time. You guys saw how it got the jump on the earnings. Then on this pullback towards 12, 12. It actually did pretty good hanging in there on Friday. Now let's see if it can continue. The move is through 13 today. I'll be watching to see if we can get through that level. Can we get a nice spike to get this through 13? I think it's definitely one to watch, and we'll have it on the radar, guys. We'll be looking to make some good trades in this name, and I'll have the accounts ready to go, guys. Got 2 of my accounts ready, of course, the day trade, the swing account, both in the green. These evalves, they're flex accounts, so I don't need to be pushing so fast, but doing pretty good. Up over 1,000 in the day trade account, and then in the swing trade account, up over 500. Just got to keep on going. For the swing, about 50% done there, and about for the day trade, about 30% done there. All right, we'll take a look at the next stock we can talk about. We could talk about HIMS. We've talked about this stock. Would it fill the gap? I drew this, guys, on July 9th. We are already there, closed it, and then some. Now we'll look to see if it pulls back, or does it just reload off of this 9 EMA. 61 pullback could be happening in here. But don't forget, tonight, earnings for HIMS, Palantir, and more. All right, we'll see what happens with that. We'll be keeping an eye on to see what happens with other names. Palantir kind of bouncing back off that 56. Will it be able to hang on today? All thoughts to be had. Of course, earnings after the bell. Rubrix, an AI name that I kind of liked, did make that little pop back to almost 100, got back to 97, then came back crashing on Friday. We'll see if it's able to hold on here. This is just to show you that the momentum names are getting a little bit of a pullback, and they could be breaking down a little bit further here. We'll see what happens there. BE, Bloom Energy, another name to keep an eye out. Will it get back there towards 40? On Friday, this one was hot, even though a lot of stocks weren't. This one was down to 32. Actually made its way all the way up there to 38. This is a hot name, hard name to trade, I will say, because it moves fast, sometimes has 20-cent, 30-cent spreads, but it's definitely a name that's on my radar with FLNC. Was thinking about taking a swing trade on this name, but I think I got out of this one, kind of break even. Looking to see if this can break 8. If this can break 8, definitely want to be alerted to it. So I'll let you guys know if that starts going through 8. Let's get to the next one here as we keep going in the list here. We'll go to CEG and we'll go to SoFi next. These are labeled by 5-day price trend to the market. So these are the hottest names towards the market. So essentially outperforming the market. And really, as the market's gone down here, you can see that there's not too many. There's just going to be the bullish names, really. CEG right now kind of hanging in there, trying to make a little bit of a pullback push off of that 340. We'll see if it digs in. SoFi, another name. I talked about how it could be right back to 25 off of the earnings. It did pop back there to 23.81s, and just like that, it's right back down. So I think we got to look for a little bit of a further pullback with these momentum names like SoFi, especially as we're getting this pullback in the market. So maybe look to see if we can get back to the 50 EMA. Let's say a move back to 1840s, 1850s. Wouldn't be a bad one to watch. We'll look to see if that can get right back up there towards the 25 and break out above. First thing is a little bit of a pullback and then the move higher. If we do get a pullback in the market, this could be a good one to watch for a little bit of some pullback action. A stock that has been strong and not wanting to stop is AMD, but I think at this point, we're a little bit at the point where sideways action could extend here. Of course, I drew this kind of trend line, starting to think about trend line approaches, right? Well, now I can really start kind of honing in on that idea. We got a little bit of a gap fill last week, so that actually helped out this stock kind of hang on there. Now I got to continue to watch, right? What's going to happen here on the next step up? Will we get a pullback to the 50 EMA, or are we going to hang on to the 9? We could just recover the 9, get back up there to 180s. And of course, AMD's earnings are coming up, guys. They are coming up. Well, I originally created this, guys, on the June 25th. And now we're at what? We're just a month or two later. I just kind of pulled it down on accident, kind of updating it. But there you guys have it. We're almost into that block. It's been a big move in AMD. So got to continue to watch it. Of course, earnings coming this Wednesday after the bell. So keep an eye out. We'll talk all about it as it comes towards the earnings. GEV up there towards 663 and continuing. This is an absolute beast. I remember when it was at 300 in April. Now 664. It's crazy to think so. but a crazy liftoff in GEV. What's going on in the chat? How we doing out there? It's good to see you guys. Vic, what's up, man? How we doing in the chat? Say hello, streamers. We're going to keep going, guys. We'll be going through the watch list. If you guys got a stock, you guys want to take a look on the watch list, don't forget, you guys run the show also here. Smash the like, and let's keep things running here. All right, next up, Ethereum. ETHU. Of course, I started trading Ethereum to the short side last week, and I didn't gain a big gainer, but I had a good idea. Now, of course, I got to watch to see what happens in this situation. This is a really good situation to look at. Is Bitcoin going to drop further? All things to be thought about, right? So we'll be watching to see what happens there. I'll be looking to see if Bitcoin wants to drop a little bit further down. And that could be a sign that we're going into further correction. Look where Bitcoin is now, right? This is why I wanted to short these names on going into last week. It just felt like to me, these names were starting to break. MSTR was the one that was first leading the downside action, and now it's continued to lead. Now, of course, Mara after earnings and CleanSpark after earnings don't look so hot. So I think we got to be really careful with momentum names and really try to stick to high quality. Another thing that's going to be important is just looking into the stocks themselves and trying to see, hey, is there a certain area that the market's going to rotate to while we have this little uncertainty? And that's what I'm going to be looking for. It's good to see you guys in the chat. What's going on out there, guys? Definitely enjoying the day. Let's take a look at some of the comment action this morning. Catch up with you guys out there. Like always, guys, smash the like. It's good to see you guys this morning. I'm seeing some Palantir comments out there. Palantir earnings after the bell. Yes, we'll be looking to see what happens there. Good morning to you guys. How we doing out there? Smash the like. Definitely, if you guys have a stock, you guys will be watching Open, BMNR. Yeah, did you see Kathy loading up the boat in BMNR? Yeah, she was hanging out with Tom Lee, smiling, and taking shots. So we'll see what happens there. Smash it up out there, guys. It's good to see you guys in the chat. And as you guys can see, new platform, learning to play with the tools, learning to play with the stuff. But hey, you guys, let's keep things going. And you guys can always throw up some stocks throughout the show so that I can catch those as we keep things moving. All right, let's keep going. Now let's go to the next stock here. We've talked about some of those Ethereum names and Bitcoin names. Let's go to cybersecurity as those have turned around. And this is a perfect example of a trade that did really well that now could be running into a little bit of some high turbulence. Like Zscaler, turning around from that 300, now starting to pull back, right? This is the best of breed, but there's some that are not as strong, right? And I think that this is the moment when you could start to look at cyber, right? And those types of names, to see if these names start to crash. Of course, this name got a buyout mention, so hey, maybe this actually continues to lift, but there's other names, right? We can take a look at PanW. We can take a look at look how that has really turned down really fast from that 200. Well, watch for these high flyers to start the pullback and continue. Bros pulling back there to 57. Starbucks, of course, could be selling their China assets at any moment, but this is still stuck in this long-term trend line. We'll see what happens if we're able to claw our way out of this. Got to keep pushing, guys. Doesn't look too bad right now, but we got a lot more to keep going here. We'll see what happens there on Starbucks. Can it get back up there towards 100? Let's go to Palantir. Palantir, of course, we've already talked about it. Earnings after the bell today. Can it hang on? It could hang on to this 157. I can even see it going to 160 today. On the day trade side, I think it's still bullish. But on the swing side of things tonight, that's where I would be concerned. I don't know if I'm able to hang on to this thing through that level, but we'll be watching to see what happens there. Smash it up out there. It's good to see you guys on the YouTube and X side of things. If you're tuning in on X, do me a favor, click the stream, and of course, drop a comment so I can see you guys out there, that you guys are alive out there on X. All right, let's keep things going. We'll go to the next stock here. We can take a look there. Hood Robinhood has pulled back, of course. They had their earnings now pulling back. Will this just continue to push, or will we get a little bit of a further pullback? Little part of me are really looking for 50 kind of EMAs. I'm not looking for short-term pullbacks here. I think we're going to be in a little bit more of that correction mode, but it's all things to be thought about. No guarantees, like always. MSTR, of course, coming down. We've talked about some of that. KLAC and the semiconductor equipment and materials play. China was the thing that we were watching. Whatever happened to the China deal? Not much mentioned, right? So keep your eyes to see what happens there. Will we get some more battle with China, or will we just kind of get right back up here? I think you got to keep watch, guys. This is going to go two ways, right? It's very binary. If we get a China deal, I think these China names could bounce back. A PDD, a BABA, right? Even the Chinese autos, LI, XPEV, right? We'll see if these start to get going. Keep your eyes, especially on this XPEV. It just looks good, the chart itself, but the chart doesn't call everything, right? Well, the chart says, keep an eye on me. And if we could get a nice China deal, who knows? Maybe, just maybe, XPEV could start pushing. What's up? What's up, my friend? I was hearing you in the background. That was my fault here. I got to
Oh,
offset speed. But it's good to see you. I'll be bringing you on in just a second here. I will say one thing. We got a lot to talk about. That's for sure. Stick around, guys. Mike will be
absolutely.
right back with us. But there you go. I got to get that offstage feed on the background there so I don't hear Michael just hanging out in the background. Well, hey, guys, new platform. We got some new tools to use. That's what it's all about, guys. We're looking forward towards bringing some new tools here and a new platform. Guys, but XPEV, China name, this doesn't look too bad. Really pretty chart there. I will say that. Of course, there's other China names you guys can keep an eye out for. And then also you can just use like KWeb and things like that for the internet ETF. We'll see if these can really get going here. All right, let's go taking a look. What else is out there on my list? V Systems. These are kind of like trending stocks that are pulling back. SMR was a big one on Friday. If this could fill the gap right back up, well, that would be a good sign. But it definitely struggled here, and it was dropping fast. So the good thing is that a lot of bulls probably got stopped out. And so now you might be able to just catch them right back in, and this starts to push higher. I'll be keeping an eye on that one. Tesla. Really nice bounce here. I know a lot of people are hating on Tesla, but look how the bottoming is here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to go with the chart. The chart says bullish to me on Tesla, especially if it can hold 305s on pullbacks. Right now, we're at 310 and trading higher. You got good compensation that came out for Elon Musk. They still want to pay him and lead the company. That's what this is doing right now. It could be a buy the rumor, sell the news. But in my eyes here, I think Tesla could keep going. It doesn't look bad here. We'll see what happens if it starts to get the drive up there. Maybe it makes a run back towards 320s, 330s. I'll be keeping an eye on it for some longs. All right, CrowdStrike. Definitely more of that look to the downside with Zscaler and those other names. Coin, same thing. These Bitcoin names do not look hot. I think you really got to stick to the names that look hot here. And if they're not, you're looking at downside plays. Like BTBT, that Ethereum name is right back down. IonQ, big week. Quantum will be reporting this week. So keep your eyes on that. We'll see what happens there. Rigetti on the pullback, QUBTS, ARM on the pullback, AUR. You can see how many of these names that were hot. And remember, I was trading UUU from 10, looking for a move to 9. This went to 850 and beyond. So really good trade there, swing trade last week. SQM has pulled back right back in a zone where I think I could take a shot long term. Got to get the long-term account ready for SQM. We'll let you guys know if I'm in that one. And definitely, I'm probably going to take a little bit of a longer-term attempt there in that SQM. We'll see what happens there. Tem, Pony, all these types of names have really pulled back. It just goes to show you that it ain't the same bull market that we had 2 or 3 weeks ago when euphoria was just kicking off and stocks were ripping left and right. I remember this AEVA was just going up nonstop, got all the way up there to 38. It's 16 now. It's already gotten a 50% haircut. So maybe the pullbacks has been enough on certain names that could get the lift. But the names that are high flying right now, it's going to be tough to keep them up there. As long as growth starts to take this hit, we got to be careful. There are some strong names, but definitely I think you got to stay with the strong charts, because if you're not, and you start to mess around with some of those charts that have turned around quickly, you can easily get caught running from the action. All right, that's going to do enough for that action. On the sunrise, there's really not too much to talk about, guys. I mean, all of it really happened last week. It was about the jobs report coming in below the expectation and signaling a cooler momentum. I'll talk about more with that with Michael when he comes on here. Tyson Foods did have some earnings, so let's just go through some of that action and some of the quick earnings plays here. Tyson Foods bouncing back, of course. Get your chicken while it's hot, right? Eat more chicken. Earnings came in here at 91 cents versus an 88-cent estimate. Revenues at $13.88 billion versus a $13.54 billion estimate. Tyson also raised fiscal year sales guidance to $54.38 billion and to a high end of $54.91 billion. The USDA projected chicken production to rise 2%, pork production to slightly increase, and beef production to actually decline 2%. Part of this is the prices. As beef goes higher, of course, more people adjust and buy more chicken. We'll see what happens there. Wayfair also in the reports out there. Wayfair get up there to 74. Got an EPS of 87 cents versus 33-cent estimate. Big beat there on the EPS. We'll have to see what happened in that report. Revenues at $3.27 billion versus $3.13 billion estimate. CEO Nara Shah called for the quarter a resounding success, noting a 6% year-over-year increase in revenue, the company's highest since early 2021. Adjusted EBITDA margins exceeded 6%, a key milestone towards long-term profitability goals. So moving forward, hey, Wayfair could be getting a little bit of a lift here. Look at that, guys. This might be getting out of a long-term base. Have to keep an eye on Wayfair. Oil pulling back. That's something to keep your eyes on as oil continues to pull back. We'll be talking more about that. Brent crude down 0.2% to 69.53. WTI down to 67.27. Traders are assessing whether the rising supply will outweigh the demand in potentially slowing global economy. We'll have to keep an eye on that. And of course, throughout the week, we got to watch. We get consumer credits on Tuesday, CPI report on Thursday, consumer sentiment on Friday, and Fed commentary. Several officials are scheduled to speak, which could cause clues to September's rate path. Of course, we'll see what happens with that. Markets are starting the week with cautious optimism, rebounding from Friday's blow. However, uncertainties, of course, from Trump's tariffs and slowing job growth, Fed policy keeps the volatility on the table. Corporate earnings, of course, will be watched to see what happens there, especially consuming-facing companies. That's what I'll be looking for. There's so many stocks that will be kind of reporting this week that are more of not you big tech names, but more of those consumer-facing companies. So keep your eyes on that, and that's going to determine a lot of the consumer sentiment this week that could flip. For secondary was positive, now could be turning around. All right, but that's enough on that action. It's time to go ahead and keep the show going. It's time to bring on my man, Michael Noss, of course. We're going to be bringing him on and talking about the markets. We already hit the intro, so let's just go ahead. Let's bring him on. Let's add him in here. And how we doing this morning? Good morning to you. How you doing, Michael? Oh, the good old mic mute trick somehow. We'll get that going here.
I got it.
There we go.
Found it.
There we go. We found it, baby.
I'm a boomer. You give me some new tech, and I'm just I'm gonna take a little bit to get used to it.
A little deer in headlights. No worries, man. No worries. We're looking good. We're looking good. That's what matters.
Well, we always look good, right?
Yeah. We're looking good. We got some new things to play with, and whenever you got tools in the tool belts, you got to just learn how to play with them, right? The first time they gave you a hammer, what did you do with it? Well, you probably threw it. You didn't know it was for a nail, right? But let's just keep working with the tools we got. And guess what, guys? Got some new tools indeed. All right, we'll go towards the markets. Let's go to Michael's charts here and take a look at what he's watching this morning. Let's kick things off. You got the share screen here, add it to the screen. Oh, you got it on the extra cam? All right, let me adjust that because I didn't have it adjusted for that. But I'll get that ready here. Just give me
All
2
right.
seconds. Let me
Good
fix
thing.
that up here.
I'll just talk about make sure everyone's okay. We survived the bear market of August 2025, where we pulled back a whopping 2.5%. I hope everyone was
Do you
okay
think the
with that.
Bears are done? I mean, that was a pretty quick one.
2.25%. Yeah, well,
That was a quick one, right?
when we get my chart up, I'll show that they didn't cover. They didn't take that opportunity to cover a
Oh,
single contract. Which they should, right? At this point, what else are you gonna do?
yeah.
You have been wrong the entire time. You're kind of given a gift of this 2 day sell off, right? If you want to call it that, 2.25%. I know got everyone all up in arms, and you didn't cover any of that. You just expect that the world's going to come to an end now that we've ticked down a little bit. We've got so much when it comes below us. We have the prior all-time high that could act as support. Tons of anchored VWAPs, moving averages, whatever you want to deem as support. There is a lot of it in there, and you're just going to say, okay, this is going to be the end of the world because we had one bad jobs number or a jobs number that scared you a little bit. Doesn't make any sense to me. But again, as somebody who is long, I bought a whole bunch on Friday. Actually kind of maxed out a little bit of margin, so I'm glad to see this gap up. I'll be selling that down off the open. But yeah, what are you waiting for, right? You had a little bit of a sell off. Every time this market is pushed lower, these guys haven't taken the opportunity to do that, right? So you have to the zoom in I'm going to do here is hilarious to show you guys how you have to see the cover that they did. It was less than 0.01%, I think, of their position that they actually bought. So as long as the people who are always wrong are continuing to be wrong, I'm going to continue to have fun with that. And when they stop being wrong and start to actually buy positions, that's when you'll hear my term change a little bit and say, okay, well, listen, they're covering. So, you don't have that fuel. That's what you have to think about shorts. A lot of people demonize short sellers, but if you're somebody who's buying stocks, you should love short sellers because it's giving an excuse, it's giving a reason in order to have someone to buy. Other than that, they're just buying for fun. Right? If you're just buying because you think stock's going up, that's one thing, and that's great, and that's how most of it happens. But if you're buying because your broker's about to take your house away, that's really interesting to me because it's absolute force buying. You're not going to be searching for a really good deal and a good price because your broker's just going to get you out at any price they possibly can and just rip your face right off, which again I love.
And what are we pointing at? We're talking about this right here, guys.
Oh, we did it. Awesome. Cool. Yeah. So
Yeah, I know what it was, but I'll let you know later. And let's go.
Right. So I know this is, it's a bit ugly, it's a bit complicated, but all we're looking at is this green line right here. So the green line is the net positioning of the large speculators, and this is one of those things you cannot hide from. If you do, you go to jail. You have to declare these positions. The exchange does it for you. Your broker does it for you. So you cannot hide from this. And you would think that they would have taken this, down week they had, this outside engulfing week, to maybe cover some positions, but they didn't. You can really barely see the increase in the or the decrease in the short position. So they are still not only short, they are as short as they've been since March of 2024, which you can see what happened in March of 2024. Right, you don't want to bet with these guys. You definitely want to bet against them. Last time they were this short was right before this epic rally, and they're still short. So I'm going to keep singing the same tune as long as it exists. As long as these guys are short, I think that's why we get these rallies. You can see as soon as the market opened up here on Sunday, it opened up, I think, right in this area right here. And as soon as we opened up, it was just a relentless bid higher. Didn't care about any news or any headlines or earnings or whatever. We have to buy. So I love that. It's, if you want to be a contrarian right now, you're buying stocks. If you want to be someone who's following the masses, then you're selling stocks right now. So for me, I'm going to continue to be my contrarian nature type person, and I'm going to be buying as much as I can.
Got to, and there's nothing wrong with that. And we'll see. There's definitely going to be some bulls jumping right back into the market. I think that was at least seasonality came into play also there. VIX spiking, of course, kind of known to spike during this time, and that's the one thing that I think you'll be watching. The one thing that surprised me was I was able to hold on Friday. I was thinking that maybe there'd be a little bit of some like kind of VIX meltdown right on Friday, so that even if you did play those options, they didn't hold, right? They kind of became worthless, and the theta decay came in on Friday. But really, I mean, at the end of the day, they did pretty well, those people that bought the options on the VIX, right? I know a lot of people were stepping up to the plate and buying that. Now the question is, what happens early this week, right? Will we get maybe the first quick pullback early in the week and then a liftoff? I think that's also something to kind of leave the door open to, right? Because I think you're going to try to stuff the maximum amount of participants. And right now, I think there's a lot of people trying to do two things. One, buy the dip because they're immediately thinking that this is going to go right back in momentum names, especially. And two, I think that there's still people now going to think, oh, well, now I go and buy VIX options, right? Well, I think that's also going to be the ones that get stuffed also. So there's two people I think caught on the wrong side of the look right now. I don't think it's just buy the dip in anywhere in the market and it's going to do well. We're not the same market that we were 3 or 4 weeks ago. And a lot of that is because now the tariffs are starting to play down. We finally got a cooling jobs number. A lot of people are still concerned about inflation. No rate cuts anymore. Are they finally figuring things out? As the CME FedWatch tool, and we can maybe pull that up to show, or you can just show the other chart that you like to show, the
I like
more active.
poly market is one
Yeah.
that I really like.
Yeah, we can bring that up, guys. And it just completely shifted for September. And if anything, it's only pointing towards a cut towards December. And if
so
any,
now,
and what I think is this is going straight towards 2026.
So right now there is a 37% chance priced in by the market of 2 basis point cuts, or 2 cuts of 50 basis points total. There is a 21% chance of 1, and then a very small chance of 3. So it looks like about 60% chance we're getting something based off these betting markets, which have been pretty scary accurate. And then, right, a 5% chance we're getting 4 cuts. So if you want to do the over-under on that, if you want to think everyone's wrong, then you bet for 4 cuts. But most people are betting 2. Some people are betting 1. Not many people are betting 0 at this point.
Yeah, I think the interesting part is also just a quick move, right? For some people, were really betting that September was going to be that month that we'd get cuts.
You could see. So the blue line here is 2 points, and the red line is 1. You could see yesterday or on Friday that completely just flipped instantly, and now it's coming back now that people are remembering that we're in a bull market, and you buy dips in bull markets. You don't sell dips in bull markets. So I wonder if that's going to continue. I think it will all depend on this particular candle right here and whether or not that holds up today. So that's what I'm looking for is just, do we got the buying all night. We know the positioning. We know that everybody is short. There's not net wise. There's not a lot of people that are long or super long this market. So we just need to see what happens. Yeah, there's nothing today. I think there's just something tomorrow. But, so does the market just kind of naturally hold up here and push higher? We continue to give a bad time to the largest amount of participants in the market, which are to the short side? Or do we end up giving them some relief? And then the question is, where are they going to cover? Because if you've been wrong this whole time, you're not betting that we're going all the way back down there. So the question is, if you were short this whole rip, where are you looking to cover? I'm kind of thinking this, if we get anywhere into the 600s, the 590, this old base that we had right here, that would be where I would look to go. I don't know what it is we're gonna end up doing from there, but yeah, that's where I'm looking for. I'm always trying to put myself in these guys' shoes. That's why we don't just bring this up to laugh at them and say, "Oh yeah, you've had a bad time," but we know the positioning, so we know they're short some net in this area right here. So when they start to get maybe back to flat, that type of thing, where do you think they exist? Well, when I look at this chart, I think kind of the most of it kind of happens in the 6,000 area, which ends up being around 600 on the SPY, which is somewhere in this zone right here. So if we can get back to this box, that's where I'm interested.
Yeah, it will definitely be interesting, and I think that that's what I'm looking for, right? I'm not looking for a complete meltdown, but I think correction coming into play is actually a good thing here. And I think 50%, the EMA, 50 EMA is around like that 615 level. I think that's more than enough. If we get back there, that would that even put us in that box?
No,
615s?
that'd be a little bit lower than that. So
Yeah,
again, it means that the short guys are going to have to chase it higher, which we're fine
yeah.
with. But yeah, and that kind of lines up with the prior all-time high back here,
That's
right?
where
Like,
I'm seeing.
oh,
And it just kind of makes sense to at least test that area, right? It doesn't necessarily have to, let's say, come back to the 200. 200 for me, I have it on in the EMA, but it's back at like 586. I think the bottom at Bollinger Band attempt here is in play. That bottom Bollinger Band right now on the daily is around 617.88. So of course, price action comes down a little bit here, probably tickles down a little bit, puts it all in the same area. So that's going to be the area where I will first be watching to look for dip buys to come back in.
so the question that you got to ask is the market going to make it that easy? Where it comes
Yeah.
down to the area that, like, because everybody is watching the prior all-time high breaks, right? It's just that's
Yeah.
the obvious areas. We broke all-time highs. Do we come
Yep.
back? I just don't. So the two scenarios I look at is that we bounce from here. We never get there. Those shorts that never covered, the people who missed the original all-time high breakout and are bidding at that area, they're left in the dust. They have to chase it higher, or
Hmm.
we just slam right through just to kind of stop some people out. I'm kind of in the camp that we just never retested at this point, and that's kind of
Yeah.
all you got. Where you might as well have taken the opportunity there, but I think today and especially tomorrow are pivotal for that because you just need to see that happen. So. We've got some earnings. It's not crazy. We've got like AMD and SMCI and things like that tomorrow. Absolutely nothing that we care about today. So today is going to be one of those where the market gets to move on its own accord. Like it just gets to move based off of whatever buyers and sellers
Yeah.
want. We don't have an economic report or a speech or anything like that. So it's going to be kind of pure supply and demand, which I obviously like better, but we'll see. But end up being an amazing day on Friday for the systems because I was just they were just buying, like doing the mean reversion thing. They were buying all day. So the fact that we got a little bit of a pop here in the afternoon, I just kind of took it and ran. So if anything, I think the systems are going to be doing more shorting than anything today.
Yeah. It's definitely it's going to be interesting. It's interesting to watch. It's an interesting time. I think we have Palantir tonight, Hims, momentum stocks. I talked about it on Monday last week. I thought they were broken, and they definitely were. Now it's more, does your stock still have some momentum? Because I think some names are coming down, regardless of the fact of the market's even going to go up. I think some names will start to come down even with the market going up. It's not the same market, I feel like. 'Cause, I mean, if you look back, I mean, we had a 3 month what? And maybe even if you put it at April low, right? That's going to put it at close to 4 months, 30.7%. How much more are we going to get? I don't think there's much more. I think it's tough sledding from here on out for the rest of the year. Um,
I
that's
just
just
think,
the way
right?
I feel.
And that's the thing is you don't need new buyers because you've got the people who are short, right? That's how I look at it. Is I say, how high can we go? I don't know until the shorts are blown out, right? Once that line kind of comes back to zero and the people aren't net short the S&P 500, then we have that underlying demand, that
Yeah.
underlying bid that has to resolve either one of two ways. Either we move higher and they get blown out of their position, or because you got to remember, if you're short, you have to pay. every day for that short. You have to pay
Yep.
interest on the short position. So eventually they just kind of get eaten up by that. So it's again, I'm just watching week after week. There's going to be one of these weeks where that line is going to take a big spike up. It's probably going to happen the same time we hear about a couple funds shutting down and names like that that were just
Yes.
completely against the market. And then when that occurs, then I think, okay, we're done, because we don't need people who are coming in and saying the market's undervalued, I need to buy it, because what we're getting is we're getting people who are short and forced to cover. So when they're gone, then people can start to talk about, valuations and, oh, maybe we're a little bit overpriced here and all of that once positioning is neutral. But when positioning is negative, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the price. They got to buy. They got to buy eventually. And if it goes much higher, they're going to have to buy without their consent, right? They're just going to have to YOLO out, right?
Good morning to everyone out there. How we doing,
Ooh,
Talk?
that's
What's up, AC? How we
that's
doing?
fancy. Look how pretty that is.
Good to
That's
see you guys
cool.
out there. Good
I like
morning
that.
to you. Definitely, we got some stocks to watch out there. We'll be watching that Fig, of course, new stock
Oh,
that
of course.
IPO'd. I talked about how it was a good look to watch that stock on IPO day. IPO day did awesome. We'll be watching to see if it can continue to move. A little part of me looking for an undercut and rally. That would be an attempt to move back to 110 and then back above the 120s here. But that's just the way that I see it, right? I'm always looking for those undercuts and rallies. So for me, Fig seems to make sense here. You see on that chart, especially the chart that you see right there that Michael has. What do you see? It drove out the gates, right? It pulled back, it bounced, went to the second resistance, then created a second time to try to stop and create a support. Then you got a bounce, you got a third bounce, then you got another support. So now just try to undercut those recent supports that has been put in, and then recovering that will scare the bulls, causing a lot of them to hit the stops, right? Because they got the stops out there and the market sees them. It's going to grab that liquidity. And then I'm going to look for Fig to get going here. It's not a bad stock to watch, especially if we get a bullish day.
One I really love, the VWAP from IPO, right? Because this just shows where is the
The
average
average
market
buyer,
participant.
right?
And you can see we came back to it here and then bounce and then here, bounce, here, bounce. We're here again. So just like anything, it doesn't act like a level. It's their zones. So this zone has been interesting. And the reason, right, if you want a recent example how this works so well, so you can go back to the Circle IPO. Look at every time that it bounced on the AVWAP IPO. And then eventually, right, like everything, you knock on the door enough times, eventually you get through, it starts to bleed off. So question is with Fig, can it do the same thing where, what I would look for is, if you're looking for an undercut, does it get back through there and then back up through VWAP? And if you can get back through that VWAP, that's very interesting. Just because, again, if you get a bounce even half the amount of times that you got on Circle, on Fig, just a very low risk to reward play. Like you're risking a little tiny. If it bounces, great. If not, you're out. And as we've seen with these things, I don't think it'll get back to 150. But if you get these bounces, you can get $10, $15 bounces easy. Like that's not a big deal on this guy at all.
It'll be definitely one on the watch. We'll see what happens there in Fig and other names, guys. I think today is definitely one of those days. Watching out the gates is going to be important. I'm going to be watching more sector and industry focused, as I think that that's what you got to look at this time. Is it a rotation to quality? Is it a rotation to value? Is there going to be a rotation put on, right? Or does it just stay with tech? I think we got to look for rotations here, because I think that this is going to be a little bit tough, especially with kind of Bitcoin struggling out there and the coins out there really struggling.
This is
What are you seeing, my friend?
Well, on Bitcoin, man, textbook, right? Here's your prior all-time high at 111. Let's say 111 or 112. Right? It breaks that. You anchor VWAP at 112 as well. It comes right back down almost to the tick to where it bought out. Let's actually get the exact price. This is 111,750, and this low is 111,900. So it came almost to the tick, right where the breakout was. And then we have a pretty big bounce here on Bitcoin. We have a big bounce on Ethereum. What I will say is that, if we're looking at that prior level on Bitcoin, that all-time high, that would be probably around this level on Ethereum. We got nowhere near close to that on a pullback. So some good relative strength there. If we take a look at the other big guy, Solana, right, all of these bounces are just getting bought up, at least for now, across the name. Even Litecoin, like look at Litecoin. Litecoin is just a dog. You can go and look at it. It's got nowhere near anywhere all time high. We've got a nice big bounce there as well. And then last, Ethereum to Bitcoin ratio. This is showing, risk on versus risk off in the crypto space. If Ethereum's outperforming Bitcoin, if this line is going up, then that means people are feeling good. They're buying the more speculative side of crypto. If this is going down, then they're feeling bad and they're trying to buy the safe haven in crypto, which is Bitcoin. And we're starting to bounce here. So we've been moving up for a long time. When we broke this area, it had a huge gain. We held support and we're moving higher. So a nice look on this. XLM, Ripple, all these names. A little bit of a pullback. Buyers came in Sunday night around the same time that people started buying the S&P 500 and off to the races. So it becomes pretty easy at this point where you just start to mark these lows. Right, I've got an order or a alert in for Bitcoin at this level right here at these lows. Same with Ethereum, same with Ripple, same with the SPY. We've had the sell off of 2.25%, and now we've kind of bounced from here. So the question is, do we hold that level? And if so, I want to be a buyer of anything above these levels on crypto and above this level on the S&P 500 as a way to play a bounce, because every single time it looked like we were coming down before, right? The bounce came in. So if we're going to see that again, great. And then it's one of those, you keep playing the bounce with a tight stop right under this prior low. And if it works 5 times and then doesn't work the 6th time, that's why we manage risk, right? It would be unfortunate to be the guy who's trying to short the whole way up and just getting killed, as opposed to guys waiting for the dip, buying the dip, and yeah, eventually one day you'll be wrong, but that's just the way it works.
Figgy fig. We'll look to see some names out there. I'm watching around. I'm seeing Lucid out there being talked about. I don't know why anyone would look at that, but watching out in the market out there, guys, to see what's being talked about. What we got here?
See the patterns every Sunday in crypto. There's been a lot of conversation for why, because there is a phenomenon you can look at where crypto goes up on the weekend.
Yeah,
And some
markets are closed.
right, the casino's closed. You might as well go somewhere else. The other idea is that you're trying to work low liquidity, and the other thing is that our Sunday night is the rest of the world's Monday morning, right? So we can't be like region biased here and say, oh, it's always happening Sunday night. Well, Sunday night means it's right, Japan, China, right? A lot of these places are very crypto heavy in Asia, so they're buying there open, just saying, okay, our markets are open, and we're going to start buying the crypto there. So many different reasons it could be, but it definitely seems to be a phenomenon that you get some action on the weekend, which is what makes it a little bit worrisome to me to trade the ETFs, right? Is I always make sure when I trade the ETFs, I have some money that I can leverage up inside a crypto account somewhere. Because like if I start seeing things tank on the weekend, I can short in the crypto account and hopefully, hedge some of that risk. But yeah, you're 100% right. There's definitely some movement all the time when it comes to some weekend action.
Yeah, I saw Josh talking about some gold. I love gold. I was able to cash on gold on Friday. I hope somebody else was able to cash on gold. They looked like it got a really nice spike. Can the spike continue? I'll be watching to see what happens in gold. Josh talking about gold in the chat. Also talking about Burke B. But yeah, gold starting to get a little bit hot.
Yeah,
This is something to watch, right?
Yeah, it's a nice, it's we always say it all the time. You can deal with overbought conditions by selling off or just doing this, right? Gold got a little bit overbought there, but
Yeah,
now
look at
it's
the weekly.
been,
Look at the weekly. It looks a lot cleaner. It's like pretty.
yeah,
You know what I
just
mean?
right, huge push up, and this is kind of part of what I'm thinking may happen with the markets is that, right, we don't just because we went up doesn't mean we have to go down, right? We know that, but
Completely.
we could just do this, and this is the time where then it becomes annoying to swing trade, but becomes perfectly fine to day trade. So this is why again it makes sense to do both. You got both plans here at Trade the Pool. Is that sometimes swing trading is the way to go when things are just ripping every day. Like we were getting a gap up in the morning and then it does nothing all day and a gap up the next morning. And then there's times where the market's just chopping sideways like this. And it's very good to be more active and kind of intraday, because if the equity market is going to start to do what this gold market did, it could just be like a whole lot of chop here. Just opened up here and we are from the opening. I'm just watching this range here, right? There's nothing really interesting to be happening until a little bit of a rip right off the bat there. Till we see what happens when we resolve in this range. It's a pre-market high, and then we have the kind of the pre-market low. I'll mark it as that, and we'll see what happens through either of those.
All right, guys, let's get to trading. Let's see what we can find today. And like I told you guys, I think I'm going to be a little bit cautious. There's certain names I'm willing to go green and like to push into right out the gates. I'll let you guys know what I see out the gates here and what we can find. Leading my watch list right out the gates, at least SBET. Yeah, but that's not that much, but it is leading a nice little push there. UUU, BTBT, Palantir, ALB, Bull, and HIMS. I think Palantir and HIMS are good watches for at least until their earnings tonight. AMD pulled back to 174, caught really quickly. Let's see if that 174 holds today. RCAT not looking too bad. I'm going to come through really quickly through some of these names. But RCAT looking decent there out the gates, 1.6. Remember, I talked about certain ones that are already pulled back. Like if they've already had 50% retracement pullbacks on the daily, they look a little bit better. RCAT is one of those names. UUU has already pulled back to the 9 EMA. So names like that, I think you could keep an eye out. Ouster had a big pullback. We'll see if these names can go strong. What is really red out the gates? That's another thing to look at, right? Where are we seeing the tough areas? SMR, BE, and Hood taking a big pullback there. This is, I think, more of that Bitcoin pullback. So Hood, Coin, I think are good shorts today. Let's see what happens. Coin down fast out the gates, guys.
Yeah,
So
what's up there? Because we are, Bitcoin's up from Friday's
I just
close.
think it's the stocks themselves. So sometimes like we look at the coins to run these names. Now that pullback alone, I think starts a correction move in these names. Hood, Coin, Mara, all those names, MSTR. Unless you see MSTR go green, I would still be looking at things on the short side for the Bitcoin names.
Yeah,
See what happens.
Palantir doing a good rip there. Almost at all-time high, actually at all-time highs. So that's good for the Palantir folks out there.
Yeah. It would be a scary earnings report to hold though tonight. That's what I would say.
Well, I think all earnings reports are terrifying unless you've got like a big padding on the position.
Yeah,
just
I
generally
mean,
don't.
I think it's especially as scary when you're talking about a stock with blowout evaluations, right? Like, at the end of the day, that stock is definitely pushed further than the money it's making. So those are the times where I get a little bit concerned. One bad report, it could be disaster at Palantir.
Taking a look here.
Not seeing much strength here out the gates. I'm going to go to the sectors, but I'll come back to you, Michael. Let's we can take a
I
look
just
there.
heard a order rejection there, so I'm just trying to see what's happening.
Struggling on that, and no worries.
HT, what's it trying to? Did it try to buy?
Let's go to the sectors.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, that's a good thing. So it's just tried to buy of this.
Straight green out the gates, utilities, basic material, healthcare,
Weird
energy,
thing.
and real estate. Red, nothing out the gates. Technology up 0.5. Financials up 0.3. So straight green out the gates on a lot of
Yeah.
names. Try to
This
find
help-
where the strength is.
This healthcare is very interesting to me. We just have this huge support zone right here that we just can't seem to get through on the healthcare space. So if we really dig in and push higher, I'm interested to see if we can just finally get a bit of a push here. Oh, there's that one. So first trade, AUPH to the short side. It's a little bit of a mean reverting setup. This thing's been pushing up quite nicely. Just watching the bot go. So far, so good. Nothing really crazy. And then as we keep an eye on this SP 500, we just crash through pre-market high. Just absolutely no no give back, no scare, no nothing. If we can hold this for a period of time, it may be one of those off to the races day. Like we talked about, everyone's short. I bet you there's a lot of people out there who either bailed on positions or got short because of the big scary 2.25% pullback. Those people may be forced to kind of get back in. If we look across the board here, the Qs are up 1%. We got the SPY up nearly 1%, but the RSP is always what I like to look at. That's up 0.65%. So it's not just big cap tech leading us. It is kind of everything across the board is rallying. And to make the joke, as always, even IWM is up 0.75%. So our small caps are participating.
I would still put a caveat that momentum names are not moving in the green, and that's a sign to me because they're not. There's a lot of them still red. The quantum names are red. We got some red around the cybersecurity names. We got some
UPT up 1.5%. RGTI up
from the open. It's
4%.
down. I don't look at the overall change. I'm just looking at from the open.
Well, there's Rigetti.
That's the only thing I pay attention to, guys. I only pay attention
Yeah.
to from the open.
Up from the open there. What IONQ? IONQ? Yeah, all these things are getting close to pre-market high.
Tesla's an interesting one, and you did get a nice dip to
Yeah,
the
and
305 range that I talked about as support for Tesla. So this looks interesting for me as it tries to recover the 310s. It went down already significant amount to that 305, but it's interesting play.
Let's see there. I'm just looking at that little algorithm that I broke or I made just to see if it's going to do a Tesla.
I really like that 305 attempt here today, guys. You got to risk off of it, but this looks really good as it coming towards the 310s here. I can't jump on it now. It's a little bit too far away. I've been just trying to study the move. So now I'm looking for 309s or below, maybe 308s touch. But I got to just be patient here to see if I can get it. If not, it's going to break 311s, looking strong out the gates here. Tesla, a name that I'd keep on the watch. Microsoft's another name, really strong move out the gates today. I think that's one to chase.
So there's one. I missed it, but you can see the green arrow right there. That's the system that we're making here that we're going to get Mitch on. And it did exactly that. You know, you take the 830 low and undercut that, rallied right through. We are
Talked about
ripping
Apple
here,
too.
boys.
Apple was on my playbook. I didn't get to too much of that talk, man, but it's right back through the 205. I like that 205 move on Apple. I'd be looking for pullbacks to the VWAPs today to try to play. There's been very few pullbacks to the VWAPs, so I'm just looking for those pullbacks because it's just hard to jump on the offers right now. But we'll see what happens. Microsoft strong out the gates.
Yeah, I didn't read it, but Perplexity yelled at me for a thing about Apple's actually been building their own AI in secret. And there's rumors that it might be coming out soon, so that might be.
I wouldn't even pay attention to that. I'd pay attention to the meeting that was given last week. I talked about it on my playbook. The meeting said it's coming. That's all you needed to hear.
Yeah.
That's all you needed to hear. Literally, Tim Cook said it, right? So
What surprises everything is that Apple does nothing in secret. They're so watched that you know what the iPhone's going to be like 6 months in advance. So if it's true and they built something, that's interesting.
Oracle hot today, guys. That stock's been a hot stock that has pulled back straight out the gates today on a huge down gap here. Interesting name, Oracle. Still catching the bid today after that gap.
So we are into the gap here in the SPY. So this is the interesting thing for those fill the gap people, right? We got just screamed through yesterday's high like it wasn't even there. The high of this gap is all the way up at 631. That would be a pretty tall order, but could, I guess, potentially. But yeah, for those who study gaps, the idea is that because there's no real trading that has existed in this zone, sometimes they can just kind of be easy vacuums for the market to move through. So again, I've yet to see like academic, like some sort of a proof that that's true, but in theory, it makes sense. Is that when you're in a zone like this, that there's really no emotion, there's no price action that happens as well. So the idea is that we could continue to drift higher here. So you want to watch that You want to watch that zone right there. And again, the low of that is 631, which is it's about 0.5% from here. So it's certainly not undoable, but could. And if you look at the Qs with their outperformance, they're already they opened over yesterday's high, and then they're pushing from there. So the way I look at that is, if you look at the volume, you had pretty extreme volume here yesterday on this bar. It means a lot of people sold, a lot of people shorted. Those people are now looking at their account and dramatically underwater on both of those things. So could be a little bit of a short covering day, which might make sense to go look at some of these crazy shorts, like open.
Yeah.
Open looks very interesting here on a daily chart. I want to keep an eye on, right? We're above last 4 or 5 days of action. We know people are still short open. We know this is one of those hot stocks. So for a swing, kind of discretionary swing trade, I'm watching this one. I've got an order set, I think, at 250. If it gets through 250, I'm just going to take a shot at some of this guy.
We'll see what happens with Palantir tonight. Steph talking about PBM, so maybe some oil names moving out there.
PBM, bio, I'm not even going to pronounce that. But if Steph's talking about it, you know it's crazy.
PBM. All right, and then small cap names. Let me see if there's anything really showing up. BTBD, restaurant name, really pushing there through the $3. So that's definitely a name that's hot.
That's a
I'm
nice
definitely.
push there.
I don't know if I can trust jumping in right now on the rally. I'm still looking for that first pullback. We haven't gotten it in many names, but I'm watching for it.
If too many people are looking for it, right, that will be the problem. Right, if everyone's waiting for.
The thing is, I think there was a lot of people lined up for some shorts today too. So I think it's just going to be a little bit of a mixed battle. I don't think it's just going to be one way. I know there's still people that were lined up in VIX. That's why I think the VIX is coming down too. It's like, oh, you want to buy options this week? Well, it's a little too late now.
Well, yeah, now is where, right, the smart guys, they were ringing the register,
Yeah.
taking.
So
I
to
bought the
me-
insurance beforehand, and
Yeah.
now I'm going to take the insurance off the table.
Yeah. This FLNC is a swing alert. It just came off for me, but I'm going to look for a pullback. FLNC, of course, goes with Bloom Energy, has had a nice pullback. It's had I think 10 days straight back. So just one that I'm keeping an eye on. And it's in the utility space, which is having a good day. Just need a pullback to 780s now, right below 8, and then come back through 8. I like this name.
NWE. Picked up some of this Northwestern Energy Group. Never heard of it.
Hey, it's strong.
Looking for that momentum through. The SPY is almost hitting 1% up. Last check-in, it was 0.5%. So we're definitely moving here. Q's up 1.25. Remember, the whole pullback was 2.5%.
Yeah.
So we're making up some of that. IWC, which is our microcaps, are little tiny guys. Just broke 1% higher as well. And then IWM
Gold, man.
moving. Gold move?
Gold. Should have stuck with the gold trade. AU still hot. AU is just a name that just moves, man. I love when gold's hot, I look at AU, man. AU is such a good trade when gold is hot. Look at the 3 days. In 3 days, nice 12%. Well, let's say an NEM that really is kind of more of your gold player, right? More of your solid gold leader. This thing's only gone in 3 days, 3%, right? And so you got to find where the strength is if you're trying to trade gold, right? To me, AU is that name when I want to trade gold.
Yeah, for sure. And I just saw a kind of interesting tweet here from my buddy Brian Shannon. Let me grab this. And he's just right.
Yeah.
This is the anchored VWAP king, right? Wrote the book on it quite literally. And he's just showing that. Pop in here. Right, these anchored VWAPs. He's got kind of a bunch of them here, but the biggest one is this purple one. So this is the anchored VWAP from that high. This is, I think, a 5-minute chart. Yeah, the high a couple days ago. He says we're getting right there right now. So if there is a kind of a logical resting point, it seems like that would be it, right? That we would need to rest. So the average price of people that have been buying from the absolute all-time high. We talk about this all the time. That's an important one as well. He does a lot of, week to date, month to date. I'm nowhere to tell him that he's wrong on those, but I just haven't found as much value as major turning points like all-time highs and all-time lows. So what he's doing here on the SPY is he's just taking this and he's just saying, okay, well, if you go to this prior high, you just pop a
Don't want to
VWAP
interrupt too
there.
much, Michael, but just wanted to. I think this setup's all over your type of play, VSAT. This would be your pop above VWAP short, but just can see the trade to set up there.
Yeah.
Big push up, keeps rejecting to like try to get back above the trend line. Just rejected that 1950, could fade, right? Just
Yeah, no, good one to keep an
it's the
eye on.
setup at least. I don't even know. I don't ever trade VSAT, but I know that it's like communications, satellites, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Satellite play.
What's the sector doing? ASTS up a little bit from the open, down overall. RKLB.
Dogs are barking. I'll be right back.
All right. Rocket Lab up a little bit here, so we're getting some mixed action when it comes to these things. I'm just, we just crossed 1% on the SPY. Just nothing is, getting our way. So this is something we need to keep an eye on and potentially really keep going. So I am, sadly, I'm short 2 names. I'm long 2 names. I definitely wish I wasn't short those names, but that's just the bot doing the bot thing. So we just need to see now this
Palantir on
NWE.
VWAP and also Tesla setting up just broke VWAP.
NWE has taken up all my buying power, so I am just going to sell a bunch of it here.
All right, guys, just took some there on. I just grabbed some Tesla long.
So this is, I think, a good example of the few times to kind of step in on the bot. There we go. I'll show you this in a sec, guys.
Good.
Where, yeah, so I had this NWE enter, and it's a great looking trade, right? And I'm making money on it, and it's trying to buy this red day after this red day that kind of got trapped in. So it bought right above this high, and 10, 15 cents higher. But when I'm looking at it, I'm looking at the exposure column that we have in Trader Evolution, and pretty much my entire buying power was getting taken up by this trade. And the reason for that was just that it's very low risk. It doesn't move very much. So everything I'm doing is sizing based off risk. So when I looked at it and I said, oh, this is taking up all of my capital, I don't really want that. So I just took off like 2/3 of the position there. So if it does absolutely explode, I'm going to make way less than if I held it. But I was hearing the rejection of, hey, you can't take this trade. You can't take this trade. And the way I look at it is I want to take kind of as many trades as potentially possible. So, it's just a way to kind of get around that type of thing.
All right, guys. Tesla here, guys. Trying to add on the 308s here, guys. So I'll come to you. MPWR, not a bad one there.
That's a good looking daily chart. All right, you can there for Tesla. Yeah.
It's Tesla, guys. You guys see it. 50 shares, 308.22. Wanted to get as close to 308. So you guys remember me mentioning that I was looking for that. So when it came to it, my alert came. Didn't even overthink it. I just said I'll hit 50 shares here. Look to get 50 more. But now we're starting to get back towards VWAP. So I'm willing to take a little bit of a step up here. Let's go ahead. Let's take a step up. Stepping up here. Looking for this now starting to run. Up about 40, 50 bucks there. There we go. Now we're going to put a guaranteed stop in the green. Guaranteed stop in the green there. Now let's let this work. Let's see if Tesla can break out here. So I'm trying to get to like 100 bucks and take the money. But let's see if this can start to push and really get towards the 311. Another trade that I liked was Palantir on the VWAP. I talked about that. I didn't take it because I was just looking at this one. But just trying to mention names out there that I'm keeping an eye out for. Leading the market, RCAT. I talked about how that one could be a move. There's the stop there in Tesla in the green. Now I'm looking for a reload at 308s or below. We'll see if I am able to get a reload or just do I step up. We'll see what happens. Definitely a little chop there in Tesla. Rather get out, take the green, and then look to get him back in.
Yeah. It's just going
In and
through
out, in and
here.
out, guys, in and out. In and out like a
MPWR is
fast
looking
food
nice.
restaurant.
SPY just continues its rip, right? We went right up through there. That this blue line is the anchored VWAP from all-time high. We saw it from Brian's tweet. Hung out there a little bit and then just kind of ripped right through it, at least for now. There's absolutely nothing stopping this
Yep.
rally.
Looking to see if the VIX could get a spike, and I actually probably short into that spike. So I would love to see a quick move, test some people, right? Like the VXX just come right back to the above VWAP, 44.75. Make people buy on those options, make them like jump, and then see it really get smacked, right? You see it slowing down here. That's partly of why I'm watching for this. There's Tesla
Absolutely.
back towards the 308s. I'm glad I got rid of it. Now I can look to see when it starts to come back. I'll get back in the strength, but I'm glad that I'm doing a little bit of quick trading here. I think it's important in this market. You got to be fast, even on the profit side there. I'm sure a lot of you guys got quick trades there. Maybe you jumped right out the gates and you got some good push. Well, there's nothing wrong with taking quick money when it's given to you.
Yeah, just going through some of the sectors that are doing the best. We have XTL, which is telecom. That one's doing by far the best.
T-Mobile trade.
GDX, right? Gold miners. This gold miner chart looks really good.
I love gold.
MSOS continues its rip higher, which is good. I still have my MSOX. This has been an amazing trade. So far, we talked about this on the show, MSOX, where, right, I'm not thinking that weed's over for now. I've just been buying a little bit just to see if we can pop out
Back
of
in
this
Tesla.
base. PSIL, that's breaking. I've got the anchored view out from all-time highs in this sector. That looks good. There was some positive upgrades on MindMed and some of these other names. PBW, which is our clean energy ETF. So that's not just solar, but it's kind of mostly solar doing well. UFO is strong. So that's all of your space names. So, a couple, pretty much everything here is green. Now let's figure out what's to the red side that is kind of weird. Energy, USO, and oil. So that's good for the inflation worry people. If you have the things that power the cars and heat the house being cheaper, that's going to obviously be a good thing. And that's kind of really about it. We have Berk B down 3%.
Out there in Tesla, small
Pop,
out there.
Papa Buffett. We have XBI selling off a little bit, which isn't ideal, right? I'd like to see, as someone who wants biotechs to do well because they're fun to trade, but just a little bit down. That's the only sector that I'm looking at that's significant that is down is biotechs. Everything else is up and continuing for now. So if we do get a pullback to the SPY, I'll just be watching, VWAP or something to that effect. If we can get a pullback into maybe this breakout area here at the 627th or VWAP, see if they let someone in. They haven't done a good job yet of letting anyone in. TAC
right,
mentioning
guys.
open. Yeah.
Looking at a swing trade here, guys. METC. I'm going to take a shot here, guys. Willing to add down towards 19. Took a 200 share long METC. This is a swing trade alert. So you see that drop candle, right? So I can use that to kind of really push here. Look to see if this can come back. Was watching also BTU to see if that get the lift today. Coal is up today. Gold is up. All basic materials are up. So I'm going to take a shot here.
So far, a pretty light day here for the bot. I can grab these in just a couple of positions in 3 shorts and 2 longs, up the $30. Right, not a big day one way or the other, but in that load in phase, I'm happy that some of these shorts are actually doing okay, just because the market's just been absolutely ripping. We're now 1.5% up on the Qs, so it's good. I'm happy with that, but obviously I would like to not have any of the shorts. Open volume at $76 million today. That's just insanity. This one is one that I'm interested in, maybe back through VWAP now, and then use the 2-day VWAP as a potential stop. I just want to take a little bit of a shot at this one. I really like the daily chart. I like the fact that it's gapped over a bunch of this range. I'm willing to bet that when new short data has come out, some shorts have gotten blown out and some have kind of come back in. So if the meme things get going, that's interesting. So Steph's already done good.
Back in Tesla here, guys. 100 shares. Going to try to take another trade here on Tesla back above the 309s is what I'm looking for. We'll see if we get it. I'll let you guys know about that trade. Can Tesla make the move? See if we get it back above 309s.
Most other things are. I'm really impressed with IWC, which is our microcaps. So under $2 billion, the average under $2 billion stock up 1.4%, almost doing as well as the Qs. And as we've known, these smaller cap and microcap companies have been getting hammered. So the fact that they're doing well, RSP is up 1%. So your average large cap stock is doing fantastic. Just one of these everything rally, right? They're ripping everything.
All right, guys, got a really nice breakout there in coal in METC. So I just said, you know what? Forget Tesla. It keeps stopping me out. This trade setup's there, but I'm not nailing it. So I'm going to go with BTU here off of the METC breakout. So METC just broke out. I was in that swing, and that thing just pushed strong. So I was like, you know what? Just go on BTU. Let's go. Let's see if this can start to run.
Yeah, taxing Q's popping again, which is good.
Going
CapEx
black
stocks.
Gold.
That's a good way to call them. CapEx
Silver
stock
breaking
ripping.
out too. Silver. Do you still got your silver, my friend? It looks good.
I do.
Crazy cousin.
That's one of those, right? Save it for the kids at this point. Now that I'm in around 28, right? So I'll protect that zone just in case, because as we talk about all the time, commodities do a whole lot of nothing, and then they do a whole lot of everything. And you know, if it's going to be one of those things where we get a huge rip in, you know, and I missed quite a bit the big rip in gold. Like I have some gold, I bought the breakout, but I took profits way too soon. So I'm trying to like be a little bit more patient for the silver side of things.
Really good breakout there in METC. A little part of me is like, do I keep it running? That's a really nice breakout, almost a full dollar already. I was gonna go like up to 400 shares, but I was looking for a pullback to 19 so they could risk on the 1880s. Really nice breakout here in METC, back to the 1960s. But man, nice little push there. Let's see if it can keep going. I'd like to see a 20 break before I take the first sell. Let's see if it can keep pushing.
Yeah, so far, I'm trying to find something out there. Like Berkshire Hathaway is like the weakest thing that I see on the tape from a broad spectrum point of view. So I know they had earnings, and you know they're spending too much money or something. They missed earnings. Okay, but I look at this more of kind of like an ETF than anything. Right? You know what they hold, so it should just kind of be an expect.
Healthcare went red in the last 15 minutes. Just want to put that out there. I didn't get a chance to note that. So healthcare is where you're starting to see some pullbacks.
RBLX making a move. Chad is saying BLX Roblox. Yeah, that's a nice looking move. This candle kind of a little bit scary in Roblox just because it's an earnings candle. So it gapped up on earnings, but then they came in to take profits all day. Held the breakout, which is exactly what you want to see, and going from there. This thing, you want to talk about overextended. Holy smokes, this Roblox just been crazy. A triple right from the low. A really, really good trade there in Roblox. We're getting a bounce too in Bitcoin, so we're getting a lot of the crypto stuff moving, right? Again, this is Friday's low. I can mark this 113. We're up almost to 115, so we have a nice little 2% gain from Friday's low. A good move there on Bitcoin. It feels to me like we might be entering like FOMO territory. If everyone got scared out on Friday, they're waking up, getting to their computer on Monday and go, oh, we dipped down and I got scared again, and then we ripped. It's
Joby, momentum staying in Joby, guys. If you're looking for a momentum name, momentum's definitely there. That's helping Archer and RCAT. hang in there a little bit today. Just to mention some names out there that are hanging in.
I'm trolling people on Twitter real quick, but yeah, we bought that dip on coin. There's saying, which is good.
FLNC doing really well, guys. I might have to take a day trade on that. Don't have any more buying power for the swing account, but FLNC, I like it.
Grab you here. I think this is important too because it will, it will show very easily. You always want the pullback because you want to know the demand on the pullback. The day after again, I don't want to say significant pullback because it was just down 2%, but that's been significant for us lately, even though it literally was nothing. That tells you more information than anything else. If the market's just drifting to new all-time highs and going higher every day, that's fun for someone who's long stocks, but it doesn't give you a lot of information. What gives you a lot of information is, okay, when the dip comes, because it will always come eventually, the mainstream media will make up some story that's the reason that we dipped, even though they didn't know that beforehand. They always know it after. And then you see what happens. Is there demand on the dip? When you get lower prices, there are people actually looking to buy it, or does it push lower? And in this case, there's demand on the dip, right? As soon as they could, they've been getting it. And now the SPY's up 1.2%. The Qs are up 1.7%. IWM over 1%. IWV, which is your Russell 3000, so that's pretty much everything. It's 3,000 largest names. So it's pretty much everything. And that's up 1%. So your average stock is up about 1% today. So also a very good time to look at your portfolio. Is your stock not up?
Right?
Why? Right?
That's a good question to be asking yourself, right?
I'm looking at my portfolio and essentially everything on my long portfolio is up, so I'm happy. But if there was like one glaring red stock, that's something that you really have to investigate. Is it a technical problem? Is it maybe just defensive name? Is the sector not moving at this time? Or does the stock just suck?
JNUG, hot, 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 gold, gold, gold. Hims coming back above the VWAP now. That FLNC up about 0.37. Snow coming back up. So even the names that got hit are starting to catch a little bit of some fire. One that's struggling is Palantir a little bit, but maybe it's just playing with some people, trying to trap people, trap. Then maybe later in the day gets the actual green light, let's say. Ethereum still green lighted on Ethereum. That's doing really well. Rubrik's doing really well. Tesla now just finally just started to catch again, guys. So now Tesla kind of played in that pattern that I was looking at that I played a couple of times. Now starting to go back to the 310. The 308 entrance was a really good idea. I just needed to give it a little bit of room to that 306. Really good looking chart now on Tesla as it starts to climb.
Yeah, there was a number that no one really cares about that came out.
Tesla, boom.
And it's in line. June factory orders.
That's actually an important one. That plays into PPI a lot.
No, well, it's exactly as they estimated. It was 0.48, and it came out
perfect.
0.48.
Just keeps the green light on. That's the only thing that needed to happen there. Keep the green light on. You got the green light on.
So, and no surprises there. But just look at if you go to the 5-minute here on the SPY, at some point, obviously, to state the obvious, this green bars have to kind of chill out. So until then, right, just stay with the trend. It might be one of those that this might be the move of the day. And if you didn't get this move, it might be unfortunate. But, you get sometimes these opening range drives that are crazy. And then the rest of the day is just slop and sideways action, chop, that kind of thing. So
yeah, Microsoft, good move. Now starting to pull back. So you're getting the pullbacks now, guys. This is where I was looking for the pullbacks. At some point, I think we're going to get a support test here. If we can get support test, those are where I want to put the longs. So I'm going to be looking for the bulls that bought the open to get tested here. If they could do that, that leaves room for me to jump in. If the SPY doesn't want to go back to VWAP, that's also a telling sign, right? We'll be looking to see what happens here. I think this is the first test where it looks like it's coming back to VWAP. Now, can you hold the 9 EMA? The SPY is right there on the 9 EMA. So I'll show you guys that right there. You see how the 9 EMA is right there. It's been holding it every time. This is the third time. So let's see if we break it or do we just keep going higher, right? We're not going back to the dotted line right now. And we look at this also on both sides. I talk about this sometimes on the downside. Also, like earlier in the week, last week, we were getting a day where the market was just underneath VWAP and never wanted to come back to VWAP. Those are all things to look at. Right now, it's been on that breakout. We'll see if it makes a move to that dotted line.
Yeah, it's she's just a mover. We've got Tax talking about this, and I'm seeing it too. All of crypto is kind of running here a bit. Bitcoin moving up 1% here on Bitcoin. I never like looking at like a 2-minute chart, do an hourly chart. So, Bitcoin,
Look at
Ripple.
MSTR. Talked about if you wanted to see the Bitcoin stocks move, look at MSTR. That started to go green right around 955. And if you look at coin, when did coin bottom? 956. You don't think the algos are trading these off of each other? No, I had to say that for those traders out there, Michael, because I'm sure there's other traders like, what do you mean it's looking at MSTR? That's a perfect example, right? A stock like Coinbase is struggling, and right when it gets the bid, and you can see it in the chart, right? This is what we mean by like a buy program getting put on. You see how all of a sudden the price action here is bid. All of a sudden offer, and it's taking away from you, right? You're not seeing much pullbacks. What are you seeing? A trend of now higher lows start to hold. So that goes to show you the strength that comes in the market. And look at Hood. Now starting to come back. Now you can start to ride that wave. Now I think what I'm looking for is the SPY pullback to really get me into some longs. We'll see what happens if we even get one. That VXX melting down out the gate. So if you're buying options early this morning, guess what? They probably just went worthless or pretty down in value really quickly. Tesla is going there. I hope you guys were able to nail that Tesla. But I see a lot of you guys trading that Tesla. Hey, I hope that somebody else can nail it, right? Maybe I didn't nail it the best. Maybe you guys can go hit it. I got one green trade on Tesla, one red trade on Tesla. So you guys keep pushing, guys. See what you can come up with.
Yeah, it's really hard to find. It becomes one of these markets that I just want to remind everyone to, make sure you're not FOMOing into this environment, right?
Yeah,
it gets very easy to go, and I'm gonna lose myself and just go, oh, everything is ripping, the market's just soaring.
I need to buy it. I need to buy it. I need to buy it.
I need to buy now, and that is the worst thing that you could possibly do, right? Is if you missed it, you have to kind of go, okay, that sucks. I missed it. I'm going to try to figure out a way to not miss it going forward, where I'm going to have some plan in order to, again, ignore the news. Don't get trapped into everyone who's saying it's the end of the world. Put some orders in, whatever it is. But I don't think you buy a market that's up, gapped up. Yeah, we're up 1.6% in pretty much a straight line from Friday's close. You want to do what Mitch is talking about, where you want to wait for pullbacks, consolidations, and if you don't get them, you just go, okay, that sucks, right?
Exactly. Just to let you guys know, I cut out BTU, break even there, just not moving as much as METC. Doesn't mean I can't get back in it. It's just not getting the lift here, and with the pullback potentially available to the VWAP, I'd rather wait here. And that's what I'm doing a lot. Right now, I'm just trying to save my ammo for later in the market, because I think we will get some type of attempt back to test the day traders. And the first 30 minutes of the day, we're straight up. So if you didn't make your money, they could take it back, right? So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. These are hard markets to. These I think are one of the hardest markets to trade. Is the straight up off the open market, where unless you got something, you just really have to be patient here. Know that we can't do that. Well, we can. It's very unlikely that we're going to do this all day, where we're just going to rip higher. So You know, you wait for your pullbacks, you pick your spots. If they don't get there, you're fine. The market's open tomorrow, right? Take a deep breath, take a little bit of a calm, because there's, you know, many times, and I'm talking to my past self, where I would look at this and I would be mad. I would say, oh, you know, I didn't get anything. Look how amazing the market is. You could have just thrown a dart at the screen and made money.
It's great.
But yeah, it doesn't help you, right? So you just gotta wait for the next one.
Yep. And it's important to find your relationship plays, I think, amongst this, right? You're seeing a name move. That's why I talk about relationships all the time, guys. Relationships itself can make you money, guys. Um, and that's a good trade within itself. Tesla got to 312s now. Now it looks like it can really start to get going here. Not a bad trade there on a quick sweep down here for it to come into play and then get a recovery look. We'll see if it does that. If you look at the kind of the throwback look, it already kind of did it and then pushed off here. Let's see if it comes back towards a prior resistance or pre-market resistance. Right around 310 to 309 area is where I could see this kind of like holding up here, then trying to bounce back here on Tesla, which should be maybe like a slight undercut on the 310s back to 312s. We'll see what happens here. SPY is doing a little pullback, very small right now. So just keeping an eye on it, guys. And then that APLD, I like the chart, man. I just need this to come back down to VWAP now. I'm willing to swing trade this. Remember, I've talked about this chart plenty of times. Played this through 11. It got an earnings report that popped it to 14. Nice pullback day on Friday, trying to recover, get back above 13s. I'm looking for a slight tick underneath 13s now to get me in.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. It's one of those. It's like too easy to give you a nice pullback and then rip. The market doesn't seem to work that well, that easily for us. I wish it did, but it just seems like we're just going to kind of march higher day after day.
Yeah, I think a lot of these are also kind of gap fills, right? Gap fills back, right? And so you got to be careful that they fill the gap. And I think sticking with the quality names is going to be something to watch for. Still looking for another pullback in Microsoft. Microsoft below VWAP seems good to me. 530s, 532s. Below VWAP is where I would like to play it. But Microsoft, good day to start it off here. You guys remember last week, even I was trying to buy Microsoft on that pullback because I felt like the earnings were really great. It just ran into some overhead turbulence. Speaking of overhead turbulence, how is the leisure space doing today? Taking a hit. It's still taking that hit. Remember I talked about the UAL kind of filling that gap for these airlines? I talked about how leisure was starting to turn. Look how quickly it came last week. From Tuesday to Friday, UAL down 11%. That's where I can sometimes like find the right sectors and industries. I just got to take a little bit more trades based on that theme, and it would have been a great one, right? All around, DAL, UAL. Look at that DAL down gap move, right? I mean,
yeah,
they dropped like a rock. And a lot of this was given to us. Why? All of a sudden, leisure started to look not as great with that booking report. That's why you have to look at the leaders in their earnings. They almost get front run. So this move on the pullback in the DAL and those others are a front run, expecting the numbers to come down. And then probably by the time the numbers actually report, it's right back up, right? So it's just a front running of it. Like Hilton, I was expecting it. I was like, now they'll go after the lodging names. That's why I didn't like Airbnb anymore. As much as I liked it here when it was going up, as soon as that booking report came out, I was like, nah, they'll just wash it back. So
yeah, and it's there's many people paid $500,000 a year and all this to try to predict these numbers. So front running these becomes an industry all in of itself, is trying to guess what the report will be and take the trade based off of that. And you just see it kind of over and over again.
yeah, and I've seen this in the earnings report countless times where an Expedia will say something and then all of a sudden the whole sector changes, or Booking will say something, the whole sector changes. I talked about it with the cruise lines and how those could also come down, and look at them. They're They're pretty bearish, right? METC still holding on that swing trade, guys. So at least coal not looking too bad there. Still waiting for a big breakout in BTU. It's still holding in there though.
SPY looking like we're gonna coil back up the highs. We gave
We're
a
holding.
one 5 minute pullback, and that's all she could muster for now.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to save them. So if I were to bet, I say we rip a little bit higher and then we just chop around for the rest of the day. If you want to frustrate the most amount of people, we know, right, the positioning's net short. People are either short or under invested. And you get these crazy moves. They're going to, again, frustrate everyone by they do a big rip off the open for those who knew that the market was going to rip today, and then for the rest of us, they're just not going to give us anything. So that would be my bet if I had to take one. There's, and then we could just chop around, which is something we could do, and then all of a sudden we could just get a tweet one way or the other, and we right back down or close the gap higher. But we're up to 115.5 on Bitcoin. Everything continues to push and everything continues to move. When it comes to what you're talking about with the hospitality names, these are just such bad businesses that I don't know why anyone does it. Like Jets, if you look at the average airline, just hasn't done anything for like our entire existence. The Jets ETF came out in 2015 in May, and it is at the exact price that it is now. This is
Long BTU again.
right. This is the entirety of the Jets ETF. This is what a just crummy industry in general. You get annoying people yelling at you all the time, and you don't even make any money from it. Yeah. But BTU, all right, this is something that's interesting to me, just because we had a nice pullback. I talked about this a lot. This is the anchored VWAP from the all-time high. We've been through it, and now we've been just kind of stuck to it like a magnet, acted as support. So if we get a nice bounce from there, I really do like the look of it. I have this F-Tech play. This is a coal. They clean coal kind of thing. I don't know. A buddy of mine told me about it. And it looked really, really nice at this 160 when it was basing. He works in energy trading in Alberta, and he told me about this name when it did this pop. So this is kind of one way that I'm playing this. It's a nice look. I bought some at 179. I bought some more at 2. And then if we ever break this base at 3, I'll probably buy some more and see if it wants to challenge this $6 high. This is like a micro cap though, so be careful.
All right, guys, took some there. BTU looking for a ride, and SPY definitely pulled back a little bit, but not back to the VWAP there. So keeping an eye on Tesla. Still hasn't gone back to the 310. I still feel like we could get a pullback here, so I'm waiting. Bigger stocks are what tells me that, like Microsoft.
Well, I think even if you don't think you're getting a pullback, I think waiting is the move, right? You don't want to take. We've ripped the market's up huge. If you measured it in the billions, we've gained billions and billions of market cap today. Do you want to be the guy who's buying after that move? And again, I know it sucks. It's no fun, but sometimes you just have to go. I missed it, and then take a little walk, get something to eat. Maybe something sets up for you in the afternoon, but just remain very, very patient with it, where you just don't want to be chasing a market that's just doing this and just climbing to new high after new high intraday, just up, 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 up. Maybe some scalps here or there, that type of thing. But until there's some sort of significant pullback, major range made, something to play off of, I don't know. Like, other than just taking this all-time high and taking a couple ticks out of it, like, what do you do? So sadly, my bot is loading up to the short side. So we're short, it actually just shorted MSTR, which I'm not really too excited about. That's
What do you do in those situations, Michael? Talk about that.
You let the numbers work, right? It's the specific style that I'm working on with a lot of these bots is a market maker style. So it means that when the market's going down, I'm buying. When the market's going up, I'm selling. And I've tested these back 25 years, and I know there's going to be some good days, some bad days, and it plays out overall. It's all about regret minimization. So if I exit MicroStrategy here, like it literally shorted some like while we were talking, there's two outcomes that I kind of put in my head, and I say, okay, well, outcome number one is that we, get it just rips from here. And I was good to get out, take a small loss, and move on. But I've deviated from my plan. Outcome number two is that it tanks, and my system was right, and I chickened out for essentially no reason. I don't like that either. So the at the end of the day, I just have to say, do I believe and do I trust my system? And if so, then I should just let it work, right? And this is one of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trades I'm in right now. 5 shorts and 2 longs because the market's been ripping. So again, with the market maker style, I'm shorting little bits on the way up of different securities. So if we get some sort of pullback later today, that'll be good. I may start to, pair out some longs or something like that, but it really just comes back to, right, do I have faith in my system? Every time I feel the need to change something intraday, I very much try to stop myself. Now, if I review the trade and then I see a lot of them and I think that there's something that I could program in to make sure in the future it's not doing something that I think is not smart, then yes, that's one thing. But when the trade is going on, you just kind of have to sit back and let it go. So it's a very Zen type thing, and it's really hard for a lot of people. Again, I always use the self-driving car analogy. This first time you sit in a self-driving car and it just does things without you, it's terrifying. And then, slowly over time, I think you start to get a little more used to it. My car isn't self-driving, but it's got like the lane assist and the follow distance and all that kind of stuff. And even that was terrifying to begin with, but you start to trust it a little bit more and still keep an eye on it. But
Yeah.
yeah, just patience, right, is all I can say.
UMAC starting to take off. That one was an interesting one as, of course, Rigetti started the day to the upside. I was thinking about taking that through 9. That's been hot, hot, hot as of late and really pushing here. So now up to 950. That was just based off of just relationship. Look, UMAC doing pretty well out the gates here and continuing.
Yeah, everything is looking fine here. I'm going through my sectors again. This XTL, this telecom, is now up 4%. We have MSOS up 3.5% of all sectors. Absolutely killing it. I mean, everything across the board here. IWC is now up 1.5%, which again, this is our micro cap. Not a lot of liquidity in this one, but this is our micro cap ETF. That's already closed the gap. IWM getting closer to closing the gap. So it's really weird to see the lower cap stocks actually performing so well, because if you've been paying attention for the last 5 years, they certainly haven't. SPY up 1.2%, Q's up 1.6 to 1.7%. Q's getting very close to this gap fill. Just $1 higher here on the Q's to fill that gap. That'll be interesting to see, what happens then. Do we fill the gap and just chill out, or do we move from there? Geez, as I look down, this FTech that I was talking about just a second ago with you playing BTU just ripped 10% there.
Yeah, man. Like METC is working really well. I'm trying not to run to the profit on that. I got a day trade on BTU, but the swing is working better. That METC is a good vehicle for coal. It's like the AU. I remember how I talk about how AU just moves faster than those other ones. Well, METC is that one. So up about 104 on that one on the swing. Looking for a push through 20 to sell a portion of it. I think BTU got 1650s all over it today. The only problem is, will it hit 16 before 1650? That's what I'm keeping an eye on.
What do you guys think about Oscar Health into earnings? Oof.
Oscar Health, man.
That's of all the things to play through earnings, I don't think
You got to put that on
would,
the screen. Chase, man. Are you chasing, man? What's going on? Why do you like Oscar? Let us know.
That's a YOLO. If you ever want to classify anything, it's the one that's getting all this news headlines and everything, and taking that through earnings. All I can say is you can't manage risk. So if you're gonna do it, right? YOLO responsibly, size accordingly. That if this thing gets cut in half, you're okay. Just the other way, it could. It's so in play that it could double, but it could get cut in half. So just don't be in it with anything that you care about. Is all I would say on that one.
Yeah, another thing here, guys, is the expectations of the estimates here. One thing that I can tell you, this stock was losing money for a long time, and in the last like 1, 2, 3 quarters, it started to make some money, and it's shifted. There was like a negative, there was a positive, there's a negative, and when the earnings are going from positive and negative, that can create crazy swings in the way the market's reacting to the earnings. So I don't know. That one just seems danger station all over it.
Yeah. And Rando's right. Everything's bad, in the healthcare sector with UNH. But at
Yeah.
some point, and me and Mitch talk about this all the time, all you have to do is have not be horrible, right?
Yeah, the
And
problem is I think there's gonna be a bigger thing that comes out of that UNH, man. There's a problem there. Elvine's health going like the way it is right now is no
yeah,
joke, man. That's a really good one. I don't trust UNH at all. It's like SMCI to me now. But when I started to see one that I really like, ELV, I've heard plenty of really smart guys tell me that this is the one to own in long term. And look at the move that this thing's done in what? In now 11 months, it's down 51%.
yeah,
It's a telling sign, guys.
yeah. So
Out of coal there on BTU on the day trade.
we talked about it too when Boeing was going crazy. Is that yes, eventually these are going to be amazing buys and they're going to rip 20-30% off the lows. Is it the game you want to play? Right, that's the question you got to ask yourself. In long term,
Yeah.
as a long term career, do I want to buy things with horrible news and just hope the bottom is going to come in? It's you can do it. There's people out there that do. It's one of those that you have to just trade small enough that a series of being wrong on these things isn't going to hurt you, right? There's a lot of things that you can do. Just be very, very careful when it comes to this. Is that you're playing a very dangerous game as soon as things are in the news, right? And like SMCI, I think is a perfect example because, yeah, if you did catch the bottom at 17, you got like a 300% gainer off the lows, but it came to here and then it gapped down like 20%. Then it came to here and it gapped down 20%. It came to here and it gapped down. So it's one of those, for every victory, there's like 50 ways you could have just gotten destroyed.
Yeah.
So,
Back
have
in
fun.
Tesla, guys. Back in Tesla. I'm gonna take a little one more shot here on the day trade side. Only down 148, so still keeping within range. Losses. The biggest loss was that BTU about 72. Before that, about 46. Had a win today, so have kept myself within the ranges that I like. I'm just looking to see if Tesla can get back off this VWAP here and hold 308 on the pullback. Let's see if it can do it. Need the market and kind of things to kind of help along. Q's still holding around this 563. Let's see if it takes it out and keeps going.
Yeah, so far, just no.
Coal got hot again. At least METC just pushing, trying to break out.
Yeah, no let up in the SPY. Sideways consolidation here and a nice break. I think what I'm looking for to signal, okay, maybe we're done, is one of these breakouts, and it might be better to look at like a 1 minute chart for that, is one of these new high breaks to fail. That you get that break and then you get a little bit of a immediate kind of sell off, and that just shows you that the people that were aggressively buying this dip are potentially done and they can just sell it back down. Not sure when that's going to happen. I don't think that we're going to like turn red or anything today. Anything can happen, of course, but could just be one of those that we are. You want to enter that range at some point. If the market gets too hot or too crazy, that to me starts to get worrisome as well. But are we going to fill the gap here in one day? That's 130.82. So it's again about $1 higher from here. It's doable. It's a lot.
Swing long on BTU. So I got cut out of it on the day trade side. I'm just throwing it back on the swing side of things where I can give it a little bit more range to work here, especially with METC in the green. So I'm going to look to sell half of it into the green, use that portion to buy some BTU exposure, and try to just load up in the industry. Right. So we'll see what happens there. Another one that I could have gone after is AMR, but it's just too expensive. I like the way it looks on the daily because it's really bottoming on the daily chart, but it's too expensive for me. So I'll leave it alone.
And I love that, right? Is you just pick you've got a basket of names in mind for the trade that you're going to potentially take, and then you just kind of let that basket play out. And you don't have to pick the name. You just pick, right, a series of names. And if you're kind of splitting yourself out, then if you're right on the theme, that's the best way to do it. It's called basket trading. There's a lot of people that do it where, right, I'm long semis today, but instead of just buying the SMH, I think I can do a better job if I pick, 4 or 5 really strong semi names and do that. Because you're buying the SMH, you're also buying Intel. So I always think that's the perfect example of how to do that. I know a lot of traders that do that where they say, okay, today's a good semi name, and they hit a button and it will trade like Nvidia, AMD, like they pick, these are the strongest names, these are the ones I want to participate in, and then leave the other ones behind, leave everything completely away.
Yeah, I gotta protect my day trade, so I'm gonna focus in on that right here. But I'll tell you guys more. I think it's very important too. What I just did there, I also cut out a day trade and went swing. Sometimes that really works for me, guys. Of course, we can't copycat trading, so I try to avoid the rules of having the same position. But if you get out of the day trade, there's nothing wrong with you taking the swing trade, at least by our rules at Trade the Pool. So I think that that's what makes sense for me sometimes is, hey, I couldn't get it in my day trade volatility of where I can kind of spread out and risk. So I went with the swing, and now I'm getting what? Instant gratification on that BTU. Sometimes it's just as simply as timing, and I think that that's also what played in there. So then you guys can see here on the bottom left how BTU reacted right after I got stopped out, right? Right after that stop triggered, right there, what happened? Just take off, right? They squat you before they rip you, and now I'm up like 74, 125. Swing trade's really looking good. At this point, what can I do? I can just start honing in and taking some profits and letting the momentum continue, right? So I'm going to look to take some half off there on METC through the 1890. Put like 91. Let's just put 90 right here, right on the offer. I'm right on the offer for METC to take some profits. Let's see if that can continue. Taking some profits in METC. If I can get through the 1990s and then look to keep riding that swing. Maybe it's just a swing type of day. Getting that test on Tesla right here. Going to go ahead and set the stop at 307.95. Don't want it to break 308s. If it breaks 308s, I'm done for the day on the day trade. And that's how it has to be sometimes, guys. You got to be able to take your shots, call it. When you get it right, you get it right. When you get it wrong, it's okay to end the day, right? Yeah. So for me, hard bottom 308, 14s. Don't want it to break 308s. I know my out here. Let's see if it comes back. If it cuts me, I'm out.
Yeah, and I just want to hit on what you said there. I think that's the hardest part of trading, that just to say, listen, I'm not feeling it today, and to stop and
to stop.
When you kind of master that, I think that's great. That's one of the big differences with discretionary versus systematic is that when you're discretionary, you really have to be in tune to what you're feeling with the market, whether you have some sort of bias that's kind of holding you back or something like that. And the easiest and almost the only way to do that from a discretionary point of view is just PML or P&L, right? If your P&L is going down, then great.
Seeing the 1996 on the offer now, so throwing it up towards that offer 96 on METC, looking good. Just wanted to break 20 here. Let's go, METC. Let's break 20 and just cash me in there. Wouldn't be mad at you. There it is. Boom. That's what I was talking about. Boom. Sold there some. Not a bad move at all here, guys. You guys can see it from the screen here on this trade. Bought on this curl back, right? 200, was looking to even add some at 19. Nice breakout there to 20s. Just sold some there. Now we'll keep riding. Still got BTU on the swing. Now what can I do? I got to 1630s. I don't need to do a single risk. Just put the stop break even. See if I can make another $100 on this one. Once I get over $100, I can take a little bit off and just keep riding the momentum. 1650s is going to be that first target to take the money in BTU.
Yeah, I took more of that NWE off that I was talking about there.
Nice.
Simply because it's been ripping and it's been eating all my buying power. So I've been getting the order rejected thing over and over again because, like I mentioned, so I'm testing all these out on a 25K account. When I pass that and hopefully get enough money, I'm going to go up to the 200K account. The that was taking up 21,000 of the $25,000 buying power. So I was missing other orders because I was in this. So we got a nice little rip there on that. So I just took that off just to free up the buying power to potentially do other things. So again, there's times to step in and there's times not to. In this case, this was a good time to step in because it just meant that this whole, like $100 on this trade, and that was eating up my whole account. Where I look at it and say, well, the point of this system is to take many trades, both kind of long and short, and just kind of try to play the mean reversion on all sides. And I just wasn't able to do that. Of course, MicroStrategy is not paying for me right here. This is the one that's kind of weighing down the account at this point. Is it shorted a little bit? I think in this zone right here. So not all hope is lost. It's not like it's short at the bottom or anything. It's right in the middle of this range. So we're down a little bit overall today. I was able to lock in some of that profit, but of course now we have 1, 2, 3, 5 shorts and 1 long, and the 1 long is actually not working. That's
Let's go.
FDMT. That's this guy right here. So it's a therapeutics company, so it's probably not going to move with the market.
BTU taking off now 1640s. I talked about 1650s seem to be in play today. There it is now towards 1640s, looking for the run to 1650s, up over $110 there. Might take the money and run on one of these names. I don't think I'll swing both of them, but this is not bad money to be made right here. So just going to try to continue riding the wave up right now.
Yeah, and I agree with this, Rando. That's good to have a separate day trading versus swing trading type of account.
1000%, man.
Just different mindsets, different rules, and keeping them separate. And that's why we offer both here. Because in theory, you could buy the big day trading account and still have some kind of overnight buying power. But it's good to have, and you can kind of switch hats. You can say, my day trading hat's not working. Let me kind of slow down, zoom out, try to find some things I can hold for a couple days, or at least a whole intraday and just kind of switch that mind frame. Which is why, as soon as we pass the day trading account, I'm going to be working on systems for the swing trading side of things, where I'll use some of the systems that I use currently at Stats Edge. I want to build some kind of more unique ones for you guys as well, and I'll be just keeping those separate and showing the advantage of being a systematic trader where you can do both of those things and be totally fine. You can day trade and swing trade and go back and forth and be fine with it.
Yeah, I think it's an important thing. I think you got to have multiple accounts and then just find what works for you, right? Sometimes I'll just be as honest as I can. I think if I just focused on my swing trade accounts, probably would do better, guys. I just do a little bit of mix and day trading, still trying to hone that in. At least I can be as honest as I can be, guys. The bread and butter is in the swing account.
And again, I say it all the time. I think swing trade, I don't want to say the word easier, but you have to be right about less things. And it's the same thing I always say for people who are getting into options. With day trading, you have to be right on direction and time frame, right? You have to be right.
Tesla.
You have to be right, and you have to be right almost immediately. Whereas swing trade, say BTU stopped right here and did nothing for the rest of the day, and then it did nothing tomorrow, and then it broke out of this range on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It doesn't matter, right? Mitch was right on direction. He just has to be patient enough to hold through those multiple days. Where with day trading, right, you've got to be right on direction and time. Same with options. People buying options, you have to be right on the direction, time, and magnitude. So it just makes things kind of harder and harder. So this is why I'm so if even if I wasn't interested in systematizing my swing trading and I was okay being a discretionary swing trader, I would very much systematize the day trading because the way I look at it, that is that should be something that is more on autopilot so someone can focus more on the swing trading side of things. And they're different objectives. I always say day trading is for income, swing trading is for wealth. So you're not trying to blow the doors off and make, millions and millions of dollars on a single trade from day trading, right? You're trying to scalp a couple bucks here or there to make a little bit of an income, and then you're swing trading. That's where again wealth is generated. That's going to be something that kind of grows over time.
All right, looking good right now on the trades here. You're going to start putting some stops into the green, guys. Don't want to push too much. It's Monday. One of the things I do and I believe in is start your week the right way. Don't try to push too much on a Monday because it can easily ruin your mentality. So that's why I'm done in the day trade account, and I tell you guys it all, guys. Right? I show it to you guys all. Down on the day trade account here, you guys can see it down about 225 on the day. A couple of losses here, a little bit over what I want, right? 70s. I've been keeping them more on the average towards 50s, and I can show you guys the statistics. If you guys want to take a look at it, let me know in the chat. We can look into my statistics of my day trading. But the average loss around 50 bucks. This is more where I want to be, right? I started to push a little bit more on that BTU and Tesla, which cost me maybe a trade or two to keep going, but I'm done for the day, down 225. Gonna call it a wrap. I had a really good day on Friday. Don't need to push today. Just call it quits and keep playing on the swing side of things. So on the swing side of things, just to put that in perspective, do got some target profits out already. Probably going to get hit in this METC and then BTU. Don't mind also taking the money and running, guys. So this is starting to pull back a little bit further. I think it could hold this resistance, make it a support. So I'm going to just put it slightly below a couple ticks here. And if it hits me, well, it gets me the money, right? It gets me at least some money into the green, and I can keep on pushing on. We'll see what happens there. And BTU, if it recovers back to 1640s and 1650s, if not, I'll take the 40 bucks and keep moving on, guys. This is important, especially in the swing with evals. You're just going to keep moving in the right direction. If you can do that every week, especially in the flex accounts where you have unlimited timing, that's all I'm trying to do. Just keep it going week to week in, week out. And there's going to be some struggle, right? But I think that's very important to catch there. Now, in the last 15 minutes, though, you can see here what happened. My whole watch list kind of flipped. There are some names that are still green, but it wasn't the names that I was watching earlier in the day. Now, like Snow starting to get a lift here, NNE, MOS. So the names that were hot this morning starting to get a big pullback. And there it is. The support test could come into play. I talked about it earlier. I didn't get these on the support test. I wasn't patient enough to wait for them to come back down, but you're getting that attempt now in some of these names. And there's the SPY pulling back. Now I think VWAP could come into play, or that fake out spike in the VIX could come into play here. If I had some day trade power, some powder, I'd probably take a shot on this one to get the spike, but that's just the day trade in me, right?
It's, I'm getting a little bit of a reprieve from being down all day with shorting into this rip, so that's good. And
Yeah.
again, it shows the benefit of doing these kind of things systematically. So for micro strategy, right, I'm actually now flat on the position, was down quite a bit there. Let me just show that. If I grab this, is it going to yell at me that it's too big? Copy, paste, too big. What if I just do that? Will that? No, of course not. But yeah, so I can grab my positions here just for MicroStrategy. But now about flat, and this is part of the idea and part of the pain in the butt of this kind of market maker style of trading, where you are always counter trend. So in most scenarios, you are going to be underwater at some point in the trade. And then you're just hoping that it's kind of picked an okay spot, and when the market kind of chills out, you get a little bit of profit from it. So grab this, see if this one's good enough. There we
Swing
go.
in the VXX. I'm going to use it as a day trade.
So yeah, this right. So you can see here's the shorts in MicroStrategy, and then here's the stop loss, the ultimate stop loss on it. And yeah, I was down at this point a little bit. This 30-minute chart, just because I don't feel the need to zoom in on these because I'm just taking the trades going on. But now we're about to cross a positive on the trade. So, we talked about the reason I'm highlighting this is not to talk about this one in particular because I'm in 6 trades, but it's to go over what we were talking about earlier with Mitch, just saying, hey, what do you do if it's in a position that you absolutely hate?
Yeah.
You let it go. And in this scenario, it looks like I'm getting rewarded for it. If I had exited there, I probably would have taken about a $100 loss. And now we're about even. And if we get a bit of a pullback in MicroStrategy today, it might actually end up being positive. But even if it was negative, I am just okay with that fact because I've just kind of, I've decided that this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to follow this system, kind of come hell or high water, and that's what I'm doing.
All right, guys. VXX starting to get into the green here. I just took it there, guys, long on the swing account. I said, you know what? No more day trade powder. Doesn't mean I can't take it on the swing. I'm not looking to swing it tonight. I'm just looking to ride it on the momentum right now to see if it can spike and how far can it spike. Can it get back to the open here? So pretty much trying to go break even on this trade, trying to set it up, get a green, and then break even. Like right now, I'm just looking for the break of 43.70 to put break even on, which I got 43.60. So there's 43.70s. Looks like it's starting to get the spike. I'm just waiting. Don't want to show my hand. Right there, it starts to break. Boom. Now I can put the stop in the green. Now I'm just at least giving myself a chance. If this spikes, make some money. That's it. I'm not trying to ride it back to, let's say, 46. Ride it back to the open. Get it back to this 44.50s. I'll sell it there, and it'll be almost about $1. I could get another like $100 out of this, a little bit over $100. And for what risk? At first, it was a 10-cent risk with 200 shares, which was about $20. I'll do that all the time, guys. If I see the trade and I feel like the setup is there, why not take it and see what happens here?
Well, and a good potential hedging tool, right? You're long on your swing account, so there's nothing wrong with. I know a lot of swing traders that do this, where part of the benefit of swing trading is you're inherently taking advantage of the fact that the market goes up most of the time. And then what you're doing is doing things like the VIX or inverse ETFs. I know a lot of people who will just swing long, and then if they're starting to get worried about the market intraday or for a couple days, they take a double or a triple leveraged inverse ETF to hedge against those positions. And then, I know I was talking to a guy on the weekend, and he took on Friday when we gapped down, he plowed into a whole bunch of TQQQ, and then off the close started to pair out of that position as just hey, I'm long a bunch of names. I hope we bounce here, but if we don't, I want to have this hedge on, and I can just take it back off when I think kind of the all clear is happening. So hopefully he did that. I haven't talked to him yet.
Yeah, so here you guys see it right on the charts where you don't get this from anybody else, right? And there's no one else really kind of showing you this. And I think that this is the good thing about coming here to the stream for Trade the Pool, guys. Of course, you guys learning a lot more about systematic trading, but also getting it all from me. And I think that's important, right? Like right there, you guys see what I did is I just put a really small one, a 4-tick risk. It was right there. I'm still up on my account on BTU. I'm still watching it here, looking for the range break to the upside through the 1640s. But if it breaks towards 1625s, I can just take the money and run in BTU and also just get out in that VIX trade, right? And so the stop is set there. I don't want to watch that one. You can see how it's coming right to me. It might just tick me and get me out, and then it goes higher. That's fine. The key is getting out with a small loss there, giving up some of the profits for what? For the potential of more profits. That I'm willing to do, right? Give up a small portion of my profits to potentially get some more profits. And if it doesn't come in, then the SPY can do a move like this. And you could also just continue playing. This is why it's so important to have ammo on the day. The moment you lose ammo, you lose opportunity.
Yeah, because we did get pullback. It looks like we're running back up here, and you're 100% right.
really quick.
You have to have always keep some dry power. It's why I'm generally not. I generally don't max out my margin. Now, I talked about how I did that,
Yeah.
during the tariff tantrum, but
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's one of those things where you always want to keep just a couple bucks out there so you
Ooh,
get something that's you seem as a weird event and you can take advantage of it.
Apple looking good, actually, guys.
Good. I'm still invested almost to highs here on the SPY. Wow.
I like the look of Apple, man. Just has that squat look. If it gets back to the trend line, 213s, we could see this thing back 220s, 230s while everyone's crying about how Apple was going back to 186. It's put in such a hard bottom through this time. You don't think there's big boys that are hiding in here? I think so. We'll see what happens.
Wow, that's a pretty big bounce. It'll be interesting to see what comes out of that kind of all hands meeting they had about AI. I would be surprised if the
I mean, we
reports of them building it something is true. Like,
so
yeah,
the
how?
report, the rumor was already enough, I think. It was just Tim
Yeah,
Cook telling them that we're gonna do this and we're gonna get it right. Like kind of like get ready, guys. I know that you might think we're not doing AI. We're doing it. We're just keeping it within a box first. Not just trying to put it out there to learn the like where they want to move to. I think another thing is what do they really want to do, right? Is it another series? Is it a buyout? Those are all things that I think are going to come into play here.
I'm
Apple has
actually
the
just
money, man.
asking.
Apple has the money to go buying. That it does. METC still holding on. That one could break 20. Last time I did this on METC too, where I kind of like used my profits as the risk and got back in on the break range. So that could be another way to kind of keep scalping the momentum in coal today. Would be like, okay, so I got out there on that turnaround. I can get in back here and then use this as my out, right? Kind of just use the recent low action as my out if this is going to continue in the trend.
Yeah, so this is I just
SPY
got
turned around pretty fast there. VIX looks good there. We'll see what happens there.
yeah, the Apple event. I just asked Perplexity. I know. Are you using that browser you got a gift for? Or
Haven't rocked it just yet. I was a little
I
busy on the
have.
weekend, so
I'm playing with it. It's amazing. I haven't found like a use case that makes sense to me yet, but I'm sure I will. But anyway, I asked it about. I said, "Hey, you gave me this news report on the weekend. I forgot about it. Can you give it back?" And it said just it quietly formed a new internal team called Answers, Knowledge, and Information to compete in the AI space. So basically, they just formed a team that's going to be that's doing that. Now, what's interesting is that who is I think going to be the main question because you're hearing about all these different companies giving millions and sometimes billions of dollars to hire like the top AI staff in the world. Who did they get that they think is going to allow them to compete? So it will be interesting. Whoa. Speaking of, a big down spike there in Apple and the SPY as well. A little bit of a down push happened kind of right off the bat. So it's something I'm going to keep an eye on.
yeah, the
Let's
VIX
go.
is like propping a little bit, but it's not really shooting, guys. Remember, I always look at the VXX. Part of the sign for me is a first 30 to 40, potentially on the really big days, 60-cent spike. Right now, it's only 10-cent spike. That tells me don't overreact, right? So just wait a little bit here. Let's see what happens. But definitely, you got a little bit. Look at Palantir right now, trying to catch some of the bears here. I don't know if it's really going to break down, but it's definitely trying. You can see it's like right there, right there, right there. Hasn't really made an up move. You can guarantee there's some bulls that have bought today, Palantir, thinking that it's going to rip into the earnings. So who knows? Maybe they just get wiped out here through the 159.
Jeez. Did you see? I was looking on our boy Walter to see what spooked the market there for a
30,
second.
40 cents here.
And there was a tweet we missed 53 minutes ago, which was what kind of right in this area from Trump saying Sydney Sweeney, is that what it's called? A registered Republican has the hottest ad out there, and American Eagle jumped 13%. So it's one of those, right? We're in the tweet world, right? Where one guy says one thing and the market goes crazy. So this is kind of what I was talking about a little bit earlier, where I said, what would get me to think that the pause might come in place is a break of a new high that gets kind of rug pulled pretty quickly. And that seems to be where we are and what environment we're going into. So we got to keep an eye on there.
That's a nice reversal there on AEO. That could help ANF. It's pulling back here to the 94s. We'll see if it catches there. XRT maybe getting a little love off of that. Yeah, holding in there.
So there's AC 2000 is saying a news event. I don't see anything with Walter Bloomberg, but he's usually spot on with this. So a Trump India issue. So that would make sense that would have hit Apple the way it did. It's because Apple has been trying to be a good boy and has been moving from China to India. And so it makes sense that that's what pullback that we're potentially getting there.
We all know what happened there, right? China telling Trump, well, Apple just moved. You better move him back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like China doesn't want Apple leaving.
No, it pays a lot of their people. It becomes a big
money, right? I mean,
big deal.
It hurts their unemployment, right? Yeah, it hurts their unemployment numbers, which we all know for China has already been on the concern because of all their real estate issues, right? Yeah. So they're just coming out of a really kind of bearish time. They don't need unemployment to spike. That's for sure. Palantir trying to break here, guys. I mean, a little part of me was thinking about taking the bet just because I feel like you can catch the max participants on the wrong side of Palantir. The max participants are bullish. I can guarantee it.
You got to be out by the end of the day, though, right? That's the problem with this. Is it'd have to be a day trade because
it would have to be what you would need is a real big breakdown in the daily to give you the confidence to hold throughout the earnings call.
Yeah, it would.
It would need to go to like 150, 149 today.
Yeah.
If I got up 10 points, I wouldn't mind maybe holding into the earnings and I'd be ready to cut if I need to, but it's an interesting play.
Enigma of a company that, this thing could be $100 tomorrow after earnings, it could be $300 after an earnings. It's just it's such a weird kind of company.
You know what's interesting? I mean, this company has risen an insane amount, right? But think about the earnings. The earnings per share haven't really risen at all, guys. This is where I tell you guys that the valuation on Palantir is definitely out of the water. And this is just riding the momentum run. When you think about it, it's up 1,500%. 1,500%. And the earnings per share have only changed 6 cents.
So there's the Indian ETF because Walter's got the same news now. He's mad at India for buying and reselling Russian oil, so he's gonna substantially raise tariffs. So that could be the buzzkill that we needed. Not I don't think we're gonna hit new lows today or anything, but that could be we buzzed out. Everyone was having a good time except the bears. They're never having a good time. And then Trump comes and kind of puts a pause on everything for a period of time. We go, oh, man, that sucks. We were all happy for a brief moment in time.
Yeah, leave it up to the Trump man to ruin the trade here. It looks like that's what's happening now. You're starting to see sideways action on the SPY, though. The bulls don't believe it. The bulls don't believe it. I can tell you guys right now, at least I feel like that, because the SPY didn't even come back to the open or the VWAP. It said, what are you talking about, man? I ain't listening to you. Let's see what happens here, guys. We still have yet to come back to the VWAP at all day long. Yeah. That's a telling sign that the bulls don't want to let this go.
Yeah, right? Why would you? You got the shorts by the curlies, right? Why would you let them off that easy? You're gonna run them a bit. You're gonna say, listen, you guys had the audacity to stay short this entire time.
Stock that doesn't look good today, SMR. Clear nuclear. I don't like it here, guys. This is what you don't want to see, guys. Like we talked about it, right? Michael and I talked about it. That if your stock isn't doing well now in this recent run, that's
Yeah.
going to be a telling sign. That SMR really got hit hard on Friday, and if anything, might go through the closing action right now.
Yeah, and that's a for you swing traders, that's what I would be spending the afternoon doing if I wasn't systematic, because I would be looking
Yeah.
at anything that was red in my portfolio today and just going, okay, let's take a deep breath and let's try to figure out why. And do I really like this name? Because
Mhm.
everything else, even with this recent little pullback, everything else has been ripping. So if we're not getting that environment, we're not getting that move, then I think happen. Can you guys hear nap
Is
time
that
going on? Is that where you're
is that
laughing?
party on my side or party on your side? That's the
I
fun part.
I was gonna give a little caveat on the open. So it's a holiday up here in Canada,
Uh,
so daycare is closed, kids are closed. So if you hear screaming, they're being looked after, right? They're just doing normal kid screams,
Hey,
right? You don't have
if
to
you want,
call the cops on them or
I
anything.
don't know if you set it up, Michael, but you can worry about it tomorrow. I think in the settings, in the advanced settings, you can do like noise suppression and things like that.
It
So
is, and not
that's
only
the
that,
fun part.
yeah, on Mac OS, I've got
Yeah, you
the
got
mic
noise
mode.
suppression also too.
Yeah, I got noise suppression. So
All right,
um,
guys, we'll see if we start to see a turn in the trade. It's about 11 o'clock here, so let's start wrapping it up here, guys. We'll see what happens. Still in this BTU long. That's what you can do sometimes, right? So the swings really worked for me today, guys. We'll see what happens on that. If it can continue to kind of work for me, in this case, BTU continuing to work well right now. We'll look to see what happens. I do got to stop on it right underneath it, so I might just get out of this position here. Stop right now is set at 621. So literally right underneath it. It's either going to continue to go or get me out, on a pullback to the 9 EMA. I'm okay with that. We'll watch to see what happens in the SPY. Definitely was a tough day with me with Tesla. 2 losses in Tesla.
yeah,
Now back to 305. It's an interesting chart. The daily looks good on this level. If it breaks 300 though, that's where I think, yeah, you got to go in Tesla. We'll see what happens there. And the Elon Musk got a new payment. New payments going to be coming to Elon Musk, and that means that he ain't going anywhere anytime soon. SPY struggling here. Will we get that VIX spike that I talked about, and then maybe a VIX meltdown later in the day? I think that could still happen. So just watch out there. VIX is starting to come back up. Remember that trade that I talked about on the 43.70s? Now you're at 43.90s, right? So I got cut out right here on this pullback at like the 61. But then it hit 50 and then it really started to get stronger. So we'll see what happens there in the VIX. Done for the
yeah.
day, guys. BTU starting to push. That's going to be it for me. What you got, Michael, to wrap it up?
I just, if we shrug off that news entirely, right? You can see this is a pretty substantial. If we go to like a 1 minute, right, there's a pretty substantial down move for Apple there. If we just shrug that off and rip back to highs on this and the SPY, I would really watch out. On the short side of things, it just shows that even the scary man tweet we don't care about in this market because we're just so bullheaded. So just watch that, and that's something I'm going to pay attention to over the next little bit, just to see if we end up getting that particular move. If bad news comes out, I say it all the time, it's not the news, it's the market reaction. If that bad news came out and we don't care, then stay tuned. Stay tuned for potentially more action higher.
All right, guys, taking another trade in that METC. Started seeing break the 20. I'm going to take that and bet $20 of the profits that I have, which I already will get from BTU. Secured profits 52. Take another bet. Let's see what happens if coal can continue to run today. VIX pulling back a little bit there, so maybe this just continues to run and gets to 21. And BTU can give me another kind of lift here. We'll see what happens. Like always, continue with us. We'll be back tomorrow. Like always, keep battling right here on Trade the Pool. Don't miss us tomorrow, of course, as we start at 9 a.m. as I'll be on Trader TV. We'll get Steve back on here. We'll talk some fibs. We'll take a look at the market action. Some earning stocks tonight to look after. Palantir and HIMS. Momentum names. Can they keep it going? Keep your eyes out to see what happens in the market, and we'll be back with you tomorrow. Keep it up right here, of course, on Trade the Pool.